morning. Where to both of you, Potato and Sishui? We're definitely 100% finishing it this time. I know for sure now, okay? I didn't realize there were like 3 parts to this game. I thought like 2. But no. This time for sure, actually finishing. No. Why did it click new game? God, I panicked. I had to slowly read what that said. For real this time. This time I'm a gentlemanly blonde thief. Devane's maid. I don't remember what dinner party is happening right now, but we got away with whatever we prison broke last time. We convinced the court that we were not actually Arsene Lupin, and now we're at a fancy dinner party where I hope we steal more shit from Roseanne. I can't stand chatting around all day. Okay. I forgot to plug in my controller. That's what I paused for.
Is everything all right? This is supposed to be a party.
You try and join yourself with your captain watching over you.
Have I stumbled upon a Navy reunion?
If I knew he'd be here, I wouldn't.
You two don't get along?
We haven't always seen eye to eye, but he's my superior officer. That's all I've got to say.
Is he talking about the captain? Does the first mate not like the captain?
I should probably put my hand up to most of the recent conflicts.
Let me guess. Captain? Horace Velmo, landlover.
Well, seafarer or landlubber, it's good to meet you.
Not what I expected. In a social surrounding, he's a different man.
Do you know George?
George is a keen sailor and a dab hand with a rod. There's no better path.
What does a dab hand with a rod mean?
I am no fisherman, but there was this one time. Well, apparently it got away.
I bet it was a real sea monster.
Oh, they meant the fishing rod. Oh, yes, of course.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And slipping his watch from his pocket was indeed fun.
I should be going. Nice coach.
How are we supposed to figure it out if you're not going to tell us?
I didn't get to where I am today without solving a few problems.
Or eating a few pies. All right, I'll tell you, but you'll never get it. A beacon through the darkness and struggles that stand before us. Without its guidance, we would be lost, wandering alone, aimlessly through the hardships of this world.
I have no idea.
A childish game anyway.
Why am I not surprised it fell on deaf ears? Except mine, that is. Good evening. And you are?
Le Baron Carl.
Riveting conversation, as always.
Do you know Georges? I like how we've met this guy like 3 different times, and he has no idea who the heck we are.
We frequent the same auction houses.
Oh, I guess no. The second time was the inspector, so... The first time was 2 years ago. That's understandable. You don't notice. He wouldn't. This is the type of guy who would not remember the help anyway.
An art collector. Fascinating. You must have acquired quite a collection yourself.
I did have. I'd rather not talk about it.
A sore loser. Sometimes it's better to just accept the hand one's been dealt.
Any idea why he's throwing this party?
I have no idea. This is the first time I've left my home in... I should have just stayed.
I second that.
I should be going. But who are we supposed to frame for murder if you left? Wait, what are these bells?
Good evening.
I've not seen you with this crowd before. Who are you?
Horace Velmo. I only met George recently at a casino and...
A gambling man, eh? You'll fit right in.
I'm currently betting on the odds of you finding some manners. and it's not looking good.
I've just been chatting with the captain.
He's not tried to lock you up, has he? Forget it. He's probably not even noticed the resemblance.
I get the feeling there's some history between you.
History, and I wish a lot of miles. I'll leave it there.
Everybody at this dinner hates each other. What the fuck? Why are you here? Why are we here?
I was looking forward to him spinning being locked up into him being the hero.
If I could have everyone's attention for just a moment, I wanted to say.
Man, if this wasn't Arsene Lupin, I would expect somebody to die. Like a fancy dinner party where I don't like any of the participants is exactly the situation where somebody's about to become a murder mystery.
Oh, haven't we already done this?
You're right, but you're going to want to hear this. On second thoughts, join me in the salon and I'll explain.
They even have a salon where they can explain who did it at the end.
Much better. Now, you may or may not know that you all, excluding my new friend Horace here, have been on the losing side of Arsene Lupin's crime.
Oh, is he gonna be the problem solver? Is he gonna catch Arsene Lupin?
That was meant to be kept a secret.
Airing out everyone's dirty laundry, are you now, George?
I've not brought you here to rub your faces in it. I want you all to be here for his capture. Chateau de Tibermenil is perfect. The art, the riches, the secrets he won't be able to resist.
What makes it any more secure than my Chateau de Malaquis?
You allowed strangers into your home, strangers that stripped your gallery and left you
With nothing.
with nothing. While you relied on an inspector, I've gone one step further. And found the only man that can put a stop to Arsene Lupin forever. Well, who is it?
Yes, I'm eager to know.
Tomorrow at 4 p.m. sharp, the famous
Herlock Sholmes! Oh
Herlock
yes.
Sholmes
Oh
will
my
be
god.
arriving at Chateau de Tibermenil gates.
We're gonna meet Herlock Sholmes. I'm so excited.
When one adversary is defeated, another appears.
Herlock
I was as surprised
Wha-
as you.
Why do they keep skipping that dialogue?
Would I lie now? I must admit, hearing of his arrival initially gave me a moment of apprehension, but that was quickly replaced with urgency and excitement for what was to come.
The Chronique de Tibermenil. Or, yes, Tibermenil. Yeah, I said that right. Holy shit. Volume 2. I already have a copy from the National Library of Paris. Now I just need this one. And of course, it's locked away. It looks far more complicated than a Jimian unlock. There are 4 compartments, each with different shaped keyholes to consider. That's complicated. Why is one silver and 1 gold piece of armor? Bookcase ladder? This could be useful. It seems to be attached to the rail. I'll need something flat to separate this. Separate this? Let's explore the downstairs before we go upstairs. A strange heart-shaped hole. It looks like the key to opening this cabinet is locked behind the mechanism tied to these holes. I wonder if I can find something to use here. Heart-shaped hole. Another small hole. A strange diamond-shaped hole. Oh, is it cards? Gambling man? A strange shield-shaped hole. Oh, okay, no. A strange teardrop-shaped hole. You got me with the diamond and heart. I thought we were gonna go with spades and clubs. And there's a bronze and another silver statue. What an eclectic assortment of chairs. I can't stand around chatting all day. Oh, I thought we were gonna enjoy. Roseanne's focus is seemingly on the game, while the first mate is rather more distracted with the presence of his captain. An unusual king piece. Such a large heart he's holding for a man in charge. There's our jam that heart-shaped hole.
Can't you see we're busy? I would have thought George had checked his guest's manners at the door.
I'm going to enjoy toying with him again.
You know, you remind me of someone. Someone quite unpleasant.
Unpleasant, but handsome.
You've got a better sense of humor than him, that's for sure.
Sure. Oh, what is this? Mural.
Huh?
A large mural at the center. Seems worn from foot traffic, though. It depicts a crown, cross, chalice, candle, and a bell.
Good evening, Mr. Valmont.
Thank you. Oh.
It's you again.
Why are you already angry? You've had a run-in with Arsene Lupin?
He took everything from me that I cherished. It was once a gallery full of exquisite pieces, and now...
Bare, empty, desolate.
Why ask if you already know?
It's not hard to see what the Baron considers important. Nothing makes a man more vulnerable than loneliness, except greed. And he has both in spades.
You're the Baron with the Watteau tapestry?
I was, until it was destroyed at the hands of that detective.
I think he's an inspector. Sounds like he caused more damage than good.
Exactly. And it is me who had to pay the price. Twice!
There's a part of me that almost feels sorry for Inspector Gaminau taking all of the blame. I did say almost.
I should be going. Poor Inspector Ganimard. I feel bad for him. Sam might not feel bad being chased by him for years. I think years. Nothing on the shelf. Okay, telescope. Bear. Oh, tear eye. Oh, sorry, deer eye is a tear-shaped thing. There's something odd about the teardrop-shaped eye. It's like the deer is still crying. Nice. I forget what it's called. It's not a balcony because it's indoors.
Huh.
Something that starts with an M. And I can't remember. No.
Oh.
How am I meant to reach the eye? The ladder? Can I grab a sword and use that on the ladder? Conservatory. Georges Devane. Oh my gosh. Shield-shaped thing. Akira's ring with a very distinct shape. One that will fit into a very distinct hole. The shape of his ring. I need to figure out a way to get it off that finger.
Horace, my friend.
Thank you again for inviting me. I feel a little...
Intimidated? Ha! Don't worry, they're all harmless. Now go on, make yourself at home.
That was some speech.
You liked it? I hoped you would. Like I said, most of them have dealt with Lupin. You haven't. I can get an honest opinion from you.
About what?
My plan, obviously.
Tell me the plan.
There's no way Lupin can resist trying to rob me. Trying being the dominant word.
Are you going to set some sort of trap for him?
That's the beauty of it. He's gonna trap himself. I think he knows about the secret tunnels, and when he can't find his way out, Detective Sholmes will be there waiting.
He has high expectations of Detective Sholmes and exceptionally low of me. I'd call that naivete.
Why Herlock Sholmes?
If you want to be the best, you gotta beat the best. And in this case, that's him.
It's not a little overkill to bring him all the way from London?
It didn't take much persuading. Since Lupin's been on the run, news of his antics has spread. Catching him is as good as a done deal.
While I hadn't expected this evening to turn how it has, I'll enjoy bringing Monsieur Devanne and his hired detective back down to earth.
What did you know of him?
I'd heard of his successful cases.
Why does
as
it
I'm
keep?
sure you had.
Why does
His
it
name
keep
was all over
skipping?
the newspapers. Still, it wasn't enough to worry me. If I'd prepared correctly, I'd be long gone before he even arrived.
Leaving another lawman in your wake.
It really is uncanny. If you were next to each other in a police lineup, I couldn't tell the difference.
You've mentioned secret tunnels.
You would not believe the history of this place. I've got a book, Chronique de Tibermenil. It's got everything about the castle, including
The secret tunnels. And you think Lupin knows how to access them?
there's another version of the book that's kept in the National Library, Paris. And would you believe it? It was stolen recently.
He suspects more than I give him credit for. Not that it's going to help him. He's right, though. I'm going to need a copy of the Chronique de Tibermenil from the cabinet.
Why try to catch him in the first place?
To show that I'm not a pushover like everyone else. They all had the arrogance to underestimate him. Look where that got them.
And I'd argue that's exactly what he's doing. And with the help of Detective Shorms, you'll catch him?
The world will know the name. Divan.
I get the feeling Georges is more interested in his own fame rather than seeing me locked up. How disappointed he shall be.
When will they learn?
To be fair to Monsieur Devanne, if ever there was a trap that Arsene Lupin would fall into,
I just don't understand the arrogance. Why set the challenge at all?
like he said, if you want to be the best, unfortunately for him, he's far from it.
Narrow gap. One should be very careful when wanting to walk through here. What? This is narrow? It can fit like 5 of me. At least.
The landlubber.
The man who sat next to you.
Yes, my first mate.
Is it custom to bring your crew to parties?
Most definitely not. I like to keep my work and private life as separate as possible, especially with certain members of my crew.
Oh, wow. Why doesn't he like him? How are your land legs?
Land legs! Very good. I must admit, I do miss the gentle sway of my ship. La Provence, my pride and joy.
I'm a painter myself. That's how George and I got talking, albeit around the cards table.
He does like his art. You should speak to the Baron. He's a collector. If you can get his word down to them.
Oh my goodness, if we can get the Baron to buy some of our art. Arsene Lupin stole from you?
Indeed, he did steal from me.
What is that
My
face?
guests, he was a menace from the moment he snuck on board.
At least that inspector was able to catch him. That must have been a relief.
It was until his trial. You must have seen it. Wasn't even him in the dock. You do bear a striking resemblance to him, you know.
I've heard. I'm not sure I believe it myself. While I don't think the captain has the slightest inkling of my true identity, I don't want to give anyone any reason to be suspicious.
I should be going. This maid looks exactly the same as the other maid. Shoelace. If it is not currently in someone's shoe, I'm sure no one will miss it. Can I just like take a knife and then unscrew the ladder? I don't know what they want me to do with the ladder. The boot room. Yeah, everybody. I always need a knife. Uniform. A selection of freshly pressed uniforms in multiple colors. I'm going to need more than just a change of clothes to remain unrecognizable. What else can I use for my disguise? You can use these boots, or these boots, or this boot polish.
Huh?
Perfect for keeping my boots looking their best. Maybe there's something else I can use for it too. Maybe these shoes. Maybe those shoes. Maybe this bucket. Why are there so many shoes? Oh, it is called the boot room, wasn't it? Why is there a boot room? What do you even do in boot rooms? Gas fireplace. There is something about an open fire, but with gas. I've heard it's much easier to control the temperature. It looks like something's glittering through the flames. There's no way I can reach it while it's burning. Use one of these pokers! Oh my god. What is that?
How can I help you?
It's getting a little hot in here.
I'm afraid Mr. Devan is very particular about the fireplace.
That's all right. I'll maybe head out for some fresh air. If the thermostat is inconveniently placed outside.
I should be going. Isn't this the thermostat? I can't stand around chatting all day. Wait, can I use the shoelace in the gap? Is that what it wants me to do? But why?
Ooh.
Very subtle. This should make a great trip hazard. Why do I want someone to trip? Oh, because I want his ring? Do I make him trip so I can steal his ring? That's an interesting plan. Empty glass. Mr. Devane has spared no expense, even on his glassware. All the pieces are in place to cause chaos. Now, to pull them off in the right order. Okay. In the chaos that follows, slip the ring off Devane's finger. That's obviously last. Once the trap is set, use the thermostat to turn up the heat. That should be second last. First, secure the shoelace across the narrow gap. I've already done that, so maybe that's first. Once Devane leaves the room, extinguish the fire and find out what's glittering back there. Oh, that's last. Wait, what? Inform the maid that Devane needs a cool refreshment. What? I feel like these don't connect. Inform the maid that Devane needs a cool refreshment. No, first secure the shoelace across the thing. Inform the maid. No, okay. Shoelace. Turn the thermostat up. Then Devane will feel like it's hot, so then inform the maid that Devane needs a cool refreshment. And then there's chaos. Slip off the ring. And then once Devane leaves, extinguish the fire. Sure. Oh, the sound effects. Yes! That's a very elaborate plan. I could do this in my sleep. Can I execute the plan now? Thermostat.
Oh.
Increase the temperature. This should heat things up. Inform the maid. Oh. Talk to Devane.
Is it me, or is it getting hot in here?
You're looking rather flushed. Let me get you a drink.
Ask the maid, she'll get it. Just a water. I want to keep a clear head.
Oh, a knife! My knife! Yay, knife! Irresponsible to leave a knife lying around. I'll take care of it. There's a lot of knives. It wasn't lying around, it was on the table.
How can I help you?
I think Mr. Devane needs another drink.
Right away.
And voila, chaos ensues. How clumsy.
Quick, take away the shoelace before they notice. Oh, I pressed it, I swear. How did I just steal it when he's doing it's right in front of him? This makes no sense. I thought what was going to happen is Devane was going to trip, and then that's when we take his ring. Oh, his hands are also giant. This ring should fit perfectly. Why? How would he not notice us reaching in front of his face, taking the ring? Whatever. You look like you could do with a hand, Georges.
If you'll excuse me, I should get out of these wet rags. Let's have this cleaned up by the time I'm back, yes?
Right away.
Oh, what's that say? Bucket of water.
Huh.
The maid must have left it here after cleaning up the mess. Can I boot polish it?
I'm going to have to look at these a different.
What can I do with water? Empty glass?
Uh-huh.
No more than a cup of water needed. For what? Oh my god, I have no idea what I'm actually using the cup of. Oh, to put out the fire. Should I turn down the thermostat?
Oh. Huh?
Can I just decrease it until, like, it turns off? That's how gas fireplaces work, right?
Yeah.
That is nice and easy. Minimal steam and noise. Should keep any unwanted attention away. I should have been doing this for years. A wonderfully clear diamond with a square cut. Find the right angle and it should fit perfectly. Sure. Captain Melville is just not caring about me at all. Alright, time to knife the ladder. I don't know why I need to knife the ladder, but I'm knifing the ladder.
Huh.
That'll do perfectly. The ladder should be loose enough to now move. Why didn't I, like, oil the wheels or some shit? Like, what? I think there'll be a few raised eyebrows if I were to walk around with the ladder. I should make sure no one is around. Sure.
Good evening, Mr. Velmont.
There's been a small accident.
Accident?
I think the maid might have spilled some water down our host.
I'll tend to the situation immediately.
Perfect. That's one out of the way.
Oh, we're not going to chat to all of them to make them go away one by one? I need the first mate out of the way. I wonder if bringing up the captain might just do the trick. Did you just hear the captain?
I try not to when I don't have to.
Why do they hate each other?
I'm sure I just heard him say he was the best fisherman on his ship.
Him? He's barely capable of catching a cold.
I was under the impression he was a keen fisherman.
Keen, but useless.
Looks like reminding him of the captain's little white lies could do the trick.
He did mention some other things earlier that I thought were a bit strange. Be as inflammatory as possible. The crew of the best, they found a strange, stupidly hid so long. It was actually him that caught Arsene Lupin.
He's not wrong. If my chess partner here happens to secretly be Arsene Lupin.
And before I'm locked up again, that was a joke, just not a very funny one.
He's as incompetent as he is delusional.
One more little push.
One of his crew stole his watches. He's glad you're coughing. He's one of the longest serving captains. One of his crew stole his watch.
We've already been through this. It was that thief in disguise.
Maybe the captain was talking about someone else.
He was talking about me. If he really thinks I'm just gonna sit here and...
Buttons pushed. You should tell him how you feel.
It's not a good idea.
I'll do that. Thanks, Horace.
That was fast.
Velmont, are you up for a challenge? If you can beat me with a single move, I will admit it.
Are they gonna make me play chess?
How could I say no to another opportunity to embarrass Mr. Roseanne? One move is all I need.
Confident, aren't we? I don't think you realize who you're up against.
Oh my god, they're gonna make me play chess. Okay, I see what's going on here. I need to checkmate in one move. First, select the piece to move and its position. This is black. Uh, uh, it has to be the bishop, right? God, let me think. I'm not good at chess. Is the heart is the king for black? That one.
How did you? Here, take your king.
Okay, I largely overthought that. I was like, oh, it's definitely this move. I was like, there, it has to be harder than this, but no, it really wasn't. Okay.
Oh, I made it easy for you. I wouldn't want to embarrass you.
I'm up for another round if you are.
I would, but I've got somewhere else to be.
Get a checkmate in Sherlock Holmes. All of these achievements are
Even
just
I felt how
necessary to finish the
satisfying
game.
it was.
Monsieur Leblanc.
I'm not condoning your other activities, but there's something about seeing a man like that
Embarrassed?
corrected.
Last but not least, this dude. What do I do with them?
Oh.
Fits like a glove. Okay, so that's one. I need to make sure the other shaped holes have been filled before I can proceed. I just can't get the tear-shaped one. But I'll stick everything in now, I guess.
Ooh.
Diamond-shaped, shield-shaped. The last one is teardrop, which I can't get.
Huh?
How do I make this guy leave? You should just leave me alone. Mr. Cahorn. I'll just tell them that everybody is gathering in the there's dessert. Can I turn up the heat?
Uh-huh.
I can. I'll just make them uncomfortably hot. Oh, I can't go in there anymore. Oh, wait, is the boot room.
Ooh.
Yes, something to do with this guy. And then I tell Cahorn to fucking leave. Your other unprecious art pieces are being stolen right now.
Baron Cahorn, what is it now?
You've been requested next door.
By whom?
Oh, give him a taste of his own medicine. Mr. Devane said to wait for him in there. The host, obviously. Who do you think? The captain, I think. Mr. Devane said to wait for him in there. The host, obviously. Who do you think? That's very rude. What does give him a taste of his own medicine mean? I'm gonna say this. I don't think it's right.
To whom do you think you are talking?
It's not just a thermostat with rising temperatures.
Oh. Just being rude to him? There's a drake waiting for you. I'm not going to repeat myself, old man. It is the odd one out kind of answer where it's like, it's blatantly rude.
Never once has even a member of my own staff spoken to me like that.
Almost there, almost there.
I don't have time for this. If you won't take the hint.
I heard Arsene Lupin made you penniless.
How dare you? Georges! Where's Georges?
And goodbye, Baron. I know I make things look simple.
I don't envy the lengths you had to go to.
It would have been easier to have just been honest with him. That would have sent him running.
As well as the police, for you.
Perfect. Letter time. Why are the rails going underneath the stairs? Oh, those aren't rails. Those are just like the trim.
Ah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my wild friend, but I need that eye. Should we put the ladder back before it looks extremely suspicious? Also, this is a fire hazard now. But I guess we're just gonna leave it like that. Okay.
Oh. Oh.
Fits like a glove. That certainly has done something. I wonder if I can get access to the book now.
Huh.
Finally, the second volume. This should give me the last clue I need to find where I enter the tunnel from. After the construction of Chateau de Tibermanil concluded, it was important for Duke Rollo to have the house blessed by the local preacher Father Durand. A grand party was thrown with the king as the guest of honor. While jesters entertained, maidens and other distinguished guests danced, and enjoyed all that the chateau had to offer. Without the secret entrance, the heist would be all but impossible. The clues are all there. All that's left is to connect them together. 15? I've got all the pieces here. I just need to make sense of them. That's a lot of connections. Holy shit. Yeah, you just give me all of the clues at once, and then I have to just know. Okay. The mural has nothing to do with anything. Chronique de Tibermanil, Volume 2. Oh, I can't read it. Okay. Oh boy. The jester was on the stage. I'm just guessing now. So the goal is to solve the riddle by linking elements of the book's a mural. Each linked node requires 2 links to succeed. Each linked node needs 2 to succeed. Okay. Well, the church needs a father. The king has a crown. The cross probably also belongs to the father. Maiden Jane. Chapel? Maybe chapel?
Nope. That.
Shit. Then it might be castle? Nobody belongs to the library. Okay, Duke Rollo is the chapel. No. Solemn prayer by candlelight for those. It's a house, resting place. Castle. Dreams of witches. That's the king, right? Library. Show physical wealth, but no, those might be from maiden visiting the king himself. Oh, from the maiden. You can have chapel then. Maiden will have the library. The king is the castle. The church. Okay, so now we have Duke Rollo. The mural from the center of the salon. Oh god, I don't know. Bell. The bell is the chapel. The bell is the chapel.
I'm going
No!
to...
The bell is the jester. It's the funny bell. It's the funny bell. The bell is funny bell. The maiden is gonna be either the chalice or the candle. I'm gonna guess candle.
Really?
No! Fine. And then candle is the duke. What else? What am I missing? Each linkable new node requires 2 links to succeed. Oh, are they just triangles? Are they just triangles? Oh yeah, they're just triangles. Okay. Stage, jester, bell, cross, church, chapel, candle, chalice, chalice, a library. Done. I'm so good at triangles. Triangles are my favorite shape. I'm not surprised it stayed secret for so long. If it weren't for Devane reading the riddle out loud, I would have never been able to put it all together. I should have read all of these, I think. While many dream of riches, crowns, and wealth that come from running a castle, the expectations is quickly dashed when the great responsibilities become clear. These probably told me, instead of just guessing. Every Sunday, the local church was brimming with parishioners. The man believed to lead them to their salvation, their local father. A place of solemn prayer by candlelight for those of the house, and often were tombs of past owners, and they found their final resting place, the chapel. I don't know what it has to do with Duke Rollo. Once the owner of Chateau Tibermanil, loved by all, he was considered a guiding light to the new prosperous France, a candle in the dark times that plagued his beloved country. That's how we got candle for him. Stage. A stage was the place for all performances, comedy, drama, tragedy. It was also used to announce guests arriving at many gatherings and parties. At the conclusion of the night, the belle of the ball would take the stage with her betrothed and dance for all to see. That's how we got belle and jester, I guess. Many chateaus were known to keep a jester present. What, really? God, I thought that was like a medieval thing. For the amusement of the family. The Chateau de Tibermanil was no different, even erecting a stage for his daily performances. Father David Durand was a local preacher, was a regular at the Chateau de Tibermanil, regularly parting words of wisdom to the children of the house, and even gifting each child with a cross of their own. Maiden Jane Cartier, unmarried and unwilling to accept any of her potential suitors, Maiden Jane Cartier made her name known throughout the wealthy homes of France by taking a sip from the chalice that sat before the host. That's how we got chalice for her. And then library was like maidens visiting something. Okay. I should have solved it the proper way. By reading all of them instead of guessing what made sense. But you know, it's different ways to figure things out, right? Who best fits the description of beacon through the darkness from Devane's riddle? A beacon through the darkness and struggles that stand before us. Without its guidance, we would be lost, wandering alone, aimless through the hardships of the world. The father? Beacon of darkness, struggles that stands before us. Without its guidance, we would be lost, wandering alone, aimless through the hardships of the world. Oh, guiding light, Duke Rollo. Of course, Duke Rollo. Now, where might I find him? What place is described in the Chronique de Dubermenil that matches the riddle from Mr. Devane? The... Without his guidance, the church? Where was Duke Rollo supposed to be? The castle? While many dream of riches and crowns, wealth that come running with a castle, the great expectations is quickly dashed when great responsibility comes clear. No, not this castle. It was a chapel. But we don't have a chapel. Oh, we do have a chapel. A place of solemn prayer by candlelight for those of the house, often where the tombs of past owners and those they trust found their final resting place. Aha! The chapel where Duke Rollo lies. It's time to wrap this party up.
You made short work of a 200-year-old riddle? Secrets held only by the king.
That's where following the clues and some common sense gets you. And a little snooping, of course.
After discovering the secrets of the house, you must have had free rein to roam as you pleased.
It wasn't long before the other guests returned. But once Monsieur Devane declared that he was leaving to pick up some more guests, others soon took the hint and retired to bed. I'd have to wait until night fell to make my move.
What are we stealing? What are we stealing? From Mr. Devane. Famous traveler, visit all the locations of the game. Holy shit, we're almost at the end. Almost at the end, according to that achievement. A candle.
Ah.
A lovely ornate candle, covered in dust but still hauntingly beautiful. Book? A written quote from Duke Rollo.
Ooh.
It appears his journal was left for him, though the open page has something clearly missing. At the age of 80, my dying wish is... Duke Rollo, 9... Whoa, what is beautiful stained glass! Ooh! The tomb of Duke Rollo.
Huh?
D'Ibermenil. That's fucking gigantic. Poke him. Just poke him. Poke, poke. This has got to work. Oh! Oh, we press the letters. I just don't know which letters to press. Shit. I'm just gonna have to guess. No. No, there has to be something else to this. I won't guess. Okay, I'll try my best not to just brute force and guess. Oh, there's a hole. There's a missing page somewhere, okay? Overheard riddle.
Think again.
So use the candle.
Oh.
Let there be light. Oh! At the age of 80, my dying wish is to be laid to rest in a place that left such a lasting impression on my life. Duke Rollo. 933. Interesting. Place that left such a lasting impression on my life. D'Ibermenil. What does this have to do with the word D'Ibermenil? Lasting impression on my life.
Heh.
Lasting impression on my life? Let me look at that again. Let me look at that again. At the age of 80, my dying wish is to be laid to rest in a place that left such a lasting impression on my life. Do we have stuff? Do we have stuff? Does it have to do with the riddle? Are we done with the riddle? Quote from Superior's okay, that's that. Have something to do with this? Theater. It was important. Chateau. Constructed by Duke Rollo at the site of the former feudal castle, Chateau Tibermenil has always been served as a testament of design and architecture. As time passed, the generation of families have come and gone. The chateau has taken on many rivets, catered to blah blah blah. Well, local troops were still. After construction, it was important for Duke Rollo to have a house blessed by a local preacher, Father Durand. Grand party. Just to dance. Okay. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. Peeking through the darkest. Okay. At the age of 80, my dying wish is to be laid to rest in the place that left such a lasting impression on my life. Duke Rollo. 9:33. Huh? I feel like I'm a little too stupid for this game. God damn. Duke Rollo Chapel Candle. And then we can press. Is it another visual thing that I'm missing? Laid to rest. On important thing of his life.
Oh.
There's no way that I just have to guess this. Huh? Like I would have thought that 933 might be like some kind of answer, but you can't press 3 twice, like the number of letters. No. Shit. Okay, let me look at it again. Let me look at it again.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, there's another puzzle that's gonna drive me insane. Placed. that left a lasting impression on my life. What does that mean?
Oh.
What does a lasting impression on my life mean? Does Tibur Manil spell something else? Think, brain, think. Yin believes so hard right now. I have to believe. Is it his initials? Is it only 3 buttons? It looks like it's 3 of something. Okay. Let me look again. Find the secret entrance in the chapel. It appears the journal was left for him, though the open page has something clearly missing. And I found the missing thing when I shone the thing. At the age of 80. Does it have to do with the numbers? 8? 9? 3? That doesn't make sense. Why would you be missing numbers? Remind me to cut this out of the YouTube archive of me staring at these words. The age of 80, I got nothing. I don't know.
Huh?
Do we spell here? I want to be late to rest here. No, I think it's 3. I think it's 3 letters. What's a 3-letter thing that we can press? Wait. I can press 3 of them. Shit. Oh my god, it was the numbers, but we just don't press 0. It was just 8, 9, 3, 3. God, I'm overthinking this. Holy, what the hell? Oh, good God. That's okay. I'm okay. I'm so good right now. That's what the fuck. Et voilà. Entrance, reveal yourself.
Then all you had left to do.
All you had left? A successful burglary takes more than just lifting art off the wall.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to belittle your craft. Please continue.
I thought the letters meant something, but no, they don't mean shit. Just the letters are just the random ass symbols that you count. Hello, Arsene Lupin here. You requested the removal of furniture. Nothing. I suppose we'd better just start. I'm sure Devane won't miss. What was that?
You can't stop there.
Who said anything about stopping? We're merely moving to the following day. Monsieur Devane.
No. You were standing in the gallery, arms and pockets full of stolen goods. Someone was coming, and you expect me not to query who it was?
In time, I promise. For now, picture this. Monsieur Devane has discovered his gallery empty. A detective has arrived at his gates alongside a truck full of furniture.
Sherlock Holmes!
Arriving at the chateau, having traveled across the channel at Georges Devane's request, he certainly had his work cut out for him. Never before had the traveling detective arrived at the crime scene where the stolen goods had been returned. If his reputation was correct, he would surely make short work of the investigation.
Impressive.
Who? The detective? I suppose so.
Green is not your color.
Jealousy never came into it. I'm just glad someone showed up to help. Devane was never going to work it out himself.
Chateau de Tiberman. Oh, we get to be Sherlock Holmes. Chateau de Tiberman, another beautiful home fallen to the wicked tricks of Arsène Lupin. Mr. Devane's appeal for my help came as no surprise, and I plan on making this the last of his antics that goes unpunished.
You're here. Fantastic.
Was there an expectation that I wouldn't arrive?
No.
I traveled most of the night and boarded my final train at 3:45 p.m. so that I may arrive promptly at 4 p.m.
Well, then you're right on time.
Explain the circumstances.
It's not that easy. First of all, he took everything.
That didn't appear too tasking.
But this afternoon, everything was returned.
Then I am no longer needed. I doubt he will return, knowing he has already bested you.
Wait, you can't. You need to figure out how he got in. What if he does come back?
I've already wasted enough time discussing Mr. Lupin. I must find the scene of the crime and begin my investigation. I should assume that Mr. Devane won't have searched for any clues into how he was able to enter and escape seemingly undetected. That is where I shall start. How did Lupin infiltrate Chateau de Tiberman? While the case is not like any ordinary robbery, the investigation must still completed be completed logically with how Arsene Lupin, something the house, he's blocking it. Herlock Sholmes, your head is blocking what I'm trying to read. I must carefully consider all possibility to eliminate the possibilities. Sorry, it's the impossibilities. Salon, formerly addressed as the Hall of Guards. Here is where all the greatest treasures of times gone by are held. The returned goods. He was able to make haste with a substantial number of valuables. Is this everything?
You're the best. If anyone can catch him, it's you.
Your belongings were returned.
The furniture, the artwork, the valuables, everything.
How were they delivered?
You must have seen the wagon outside. The clock struck 3 p.m. and in it rolled.
Why were Georges Divan's belongings returned? As much as the mystery lies in how the stolen items were whisked away, there is as much of a question as to how the items were returned, I guess. That's what he's saying. I've never had this problem where the character's head blocked what I was reading up on top. The riddle of the house is not the only intriguing mystery to solve. Or, sorry, why the items were returned. That's what it meant to be said. Do you want to say anything else to me? No. Cabinet. The cabinet appears to be built into the floor. There are few reasons one would build it in such a way. Are you new? Are you a new servant? I'm sure they're as busy as I am. Oh. The suit of armor is predominantly iron and has signs of rust. Interesting. A unique and interesting material to use for a set of armor. A small selection of valuable jewels, noticeably set aside from the other returned items. Both books returned by Arsène Lupin, accompanied by a note from Mr. Devane, or for Mr. Devane, a beacon through darkness and struggles that stand before us. Without its guidance, we would be lost, wandering alone, aimless through hardships of this world. The volumes detail the history of the chateau. It wouldn't be the first home I've been in that has hidden secrets behind the fireplace. If so, there must be a clue to suggest so somewhere. A beautiful antique chess set. I wonder if Mr. Devane would like a game. On the other hand, could this be significant? Shining golden, untouched by damage. Quite exquisite. Oh my gosh, the spider is back. Spider every day. It is on my computer. Don't crawl up my controller, please. Silver armor. More glimmering than to be expected from armor of its age. Bottom bookcases. There appears to be a space behind these shelves. The shelves are categorized: famous figures, famous inventions, and first edition crime novels. Perhaps the categories are significant. Upper bookcases. Much like below, a wide variety of book selections to be read. If I recall correctly, the other side of this upper section is an external wall, an improbable entrance point surely. Oh boy, there's all these cool things. Cabinet bottom, upper. Riddle note. I'm usually the one writing riddles. Now it's my turn to solve one. This riddle mentions a guiding light in the form of a beacon. False backing? Could this fireplace have a false backing? I wonder if there's any other clue that could directly tie this fireplace to being a secret entrance. Like this riddle?
There we have it.
The riddle is clearly suggesting a light source, a fire of sorts, perhaps. Any more suggestive connections? Light source connection. Upper bookcases? Chronicle Tibermanil?
That points to...
Fine. Famous people? Famous people bottom bookshelf?
I have my
Damn.
methods for a reason.
People books? Figures mentioned in the Chronique de Tibermanil Volume 2 may also appear in this bookshelf. Any more suggestive connections? Familiar name connection? Light source connection!
Well, you have eliminated the impossible.
Both the lower bookcases and the fireplace can be connected in part of the secrets of the house. It would suggest the entrance may be there. Why were things returned? Small return goods and big return goods.
Elementary.
A separate pile was made with more valuable items on the armchair. Why would he separate these items in particular?
You're the best. If anyone can catch him, it's you.
I made sure to study the history of your home.
Fascinating, isn't it? I still can't believe I'm following in the footsteps of such characters.
I'm more interested in the secrets surrounding the building itself.
You want to solve the riddle of the secret tunnel, don't you? Wait. Could Lupin have already solved it?
Now you're thinking like a detective.
A detective? Well. But he can't have. He'd need both editions of the books and the riddle that only the owners of the house have access to.
Even after his home has just been ransacked, he still doubts Arsene Lupin's skills of deduction and reason.
Have you shared the riddle with anyone?
Of course I haven't. Except for maybe last night, after I announced you were arriving.
Congratulations. You gave Arsene Lupin the answers he was seeking.
He was here, in my house, during my party?
I have no doubts. In fact, I met him on my way here.
Earlier that day.
Excuse me, I have found myself in a moment of need.
Then you've stumbled upon the right man. How can I help you?
Is this the way to Chateau de Tibermanil?
Yes, monsieur. Straight ahead.
His face, his mannerisms. Arsene Lupin is known as a master of disguise. But could his greatest disguise be himself?
No keener admirer than myself.
Most kind. You are leaving?
I thought it best to exit before I outstayed my welcome. My exit will make way for your grand arrival.
Don't tell me this chance interaction was all part of another drawn-out plan.
It wasn't. Just a stroke of luck. And I prefer long-term planning with multi-stage reveals. It sounds more professional, meticulous.
You're lucky he let you walk away.
As if an opportune moment like that would be how this story ends.
I think Herlock Sholmes would want to meet Arsene for fun. What is new? Secret tunnel. Oh, the chateau contains many mysteries, including a secret tunnel hidden by rules. Eliminating the impossible may aid my investigation. So it cannot be the upper bookcases.
Elementary.
There is no possible way the tunnel could be located where there is an external wall. What is up here? Announced missing riddle through gathering. Announced my arrival. Mr. Javan announced I would be arriving to investigate Lupin. The mention of Sholmes is sure to scare even the master thief like Lupin. Announcing the missing riddle, Mr. Devine openly discussed the secret riddle in front of guests. Perhaps Lupin used this information through a secret gathering to trap Lupin. Mr. Devine threw a gathering intended to trap and boast the capture of Lupin. Perhaps Lupin had other plans. It's one of these.
There has to be.
It's a riddle.
It would be.
Fine, be that way. Made separate pile both. Chronique to Diplomato returned. Presence long.
I'll never catch.
Damn.
There we have it.
During the gathering, Lupin had the perfect opportunity to steal the book he was missing in order to pull off the heist. Lupin had a perfect opportunity. And he had the riddle!
I have my methods for.
Mr. Devin gave the guests, and inadvertently, Mr. Lupin, the missing clue to solve the mystery of the secret tunnel and lead him to the spoils. Lupin had all the information he needed. And he had a pile of items?
When you have eliminated the impossible.
I don't know what the connection is, actually. Even though Lupin had everything in place for this heist to go perfectly, it didn't. What could have spooked him so severely? Ghosts? Things didn't go to plan. Because of his arrival?
Elementary.
Lupin felt pressured and threatened by my impending arrival, and decided to return everything. Is that really what happened? Or was Lupin just boasting about, like, I can take your shit whenever you want? That's why he returned it, because he didn't actually want it. It was a sign of weakness, of fearful panic. There came the realization that a detective arriving would become too much, and Arsene Lupin folded like a piece of origami, returning the stolen goods.
He didn't really say that, did he?
You weren't aware?
I am now. How could he? If anything, it was a great victory for me. I did what I set out to do, and even returned it all out of the goodness of my heart.
The goodness of your heart?
Okay, so my hand might have been forced. At least I don't need to feel bad anymore.
Anymore? Arsene, what did you do?
Was it because it belonged to, like, dead people he didn't want their stuff? Why did he return the pile of goods? Because there were ghosts! I'm not seeing something. The fireplace has fresh wood in it. Does it mean something? Am I missing something upstairs? We looked at the bookcase. We are not looking at the telescope. Letter? More book? Book in the cases? Secret tunnel?
Huh?
Oh boy. There's another pixel that I'm not seeing.
Huh.
Alright, pixel hunt. What are these? Are these cakes? No, they're not cakes. They're like plates. They could have cake on them. That would be so nice. I could go for some cake right now. Instead, I'm hunting for pixels. What have I not clicked? Investigate the central cabinet. More than I have now? Could the bulky cabinet be hiding an entrance underneath it? Hidden entrance? False backing? Connected through secrets? Connected through secrets. There can only be one plausible option.
There we have it.
There we have it. The cabinet has no connections to the riddle, ruling it out as part of the secret tunnel. Not connected to the secrets. But it's a built-in cabinet. Maybe there was a trapdoor there and somebody put a cabinet on top. If the three possibilities which does not lead to the secret which does not lead to the secret entrance, the cabinet. Given the impossible nature of the top set of bookshelves and the unlikelihood of another purpose for the cabinet, it is safe to rule those out. I shall look closer at the possibilities I'm left with. Is the secret entrance behind the fireplace or bookshelves? The secret entrance to the tunnel is supposed to be anything but obvious. Narrow down the search and investigate each angle. The entrance is somewhere, and with some logical thinking and deduction, I shall find it. Fireplace or bookcase? On the shelves are various books filled with maps and details about navigation, including one 300-year-old book on constellations and how they were used to guide people. A great collection of crime novels. I'm sure in the not-so-distant futures, stories of my unrivaled crime-solving abilities will line bookshelves across the world. Just as arrogant as the Sherlock Holmes. Let's look closer at the figures listed. A book dedicated to Duke Rollo. A direct connection to the chateau and the Chronique de Thibermesnil. For all those following the light trail, heed these words. Heavy is the golden helm who rings in the dawn, drinking from a poisoned chalice, shared between bishop and pawn. Shared between bishop and pawn, I see. We're going chess, are we? A beautiful antique chess set. I wonder if Mr. Devane would like a game. On the other hand, could this be significant? It wouldn't be the first time I've been at that has a secret behind the fireplace. If so, there must be a clue to suggest so somewhere. What would suggest the fireplace is significant? Is it the knights?
Huh? Huh. Ah.
Could the bulky cabinet be hiding an entrance underneath?
Ah.
I like how it says objective complete every time I press this. Made me excited.
Uh-huh.
Should I look at the fireplace with the telescope? Maybe it will reveal more clues. Section on herbs. Various books on the natural world of herbology, detailing about the positive uses like creating alcohol and negative poison. Yes, the positive uses like creating alcohol. Forget eating it. It's not positive unless it's alcohol. A 300-year-old book on poison has been marked on page 3. Could this be significant? Page 3, you say? That's a number I should write down. Maybe. Poison. The first records of the word poison come from around 1200 AD. But the history of poison dates back almost to the birth of man, where leaves, roots, and mushrooms were digested, often without awareness of their deadly properties until it's too late. What we refer to today as poison can be far more advanced, with new means of being absorbed or consumed, with the victim unaware. With the addition of man-made poisons and chemicals, the act of administering via liquid form or by digestion has become a dangerous prospect for law enforcement. Okay. Sure. Horror section. Many a mystery turns to horror, though this mystery will not be one of them. Horror section. Section on herbs. Wasn't there something about poison before? Shit. I've already forgotten. And something significant about poison. Duke and his chateau. Speak to Divine's servant. Okay. Divine's servant.
Is there something you need?
How often are the fireplaces used?
Mr. Devon is very particular about the use of the fireplaces. He requests them fairly infrequently.
And last night?
Both the salon fireplace and the conservatory fireplace were lit during the gathering last night.
Why does he have that accent? It would be simple for Lupin to make it to the salon from the conservatory. The fireplace in there must be checked too. Search the conservatory! The dinner place is called the conservatory? Why? Oh, here. Here's a servant we've seen before. I'm sure they're as busy as I am. The servant that we impersonated. Servant bells. They have certainly had their fair share of use. Could they be significant to this riddle? That's an interesting.
How can I help you?
Has the area been cleaned today?
Everything was tidied and clean after the gathering concluded. Nothing unusual or strange marks, if that's what you're asking, Detective.
The smallest detail could be helpful.
Besides the small incident with water being spilt over Mr. Devon last night, there's been nothing out of the ordinary.
It is not how I would expect to have found it after being used. There is discoloration and an unusual watermarks present. But I turned it on afterwards. There shouldn't be watermarks. Fireplace logs have been moved. Nothing unusual. Water stains?
I have my methods for a reason.
The perfect triangle. Between the logs being moved and the water stains, it's evident that there have been some activity within the fireplace. Can I verify this? Recent activity in the fireplace? Accident last night?
I'll never catch
Shit! Nothing unusual. Fireplace log moved. Salon fireplace, and fireplace being used.
That points to
Fuck. Fireplace logs and fireplace were lit.
there has to be a
What? Water stains? Fireplaces were lit and recent activity?
when you have eliminated the
Okay, that makes sense. Could my suspicions of activity at the fireplace be caused by them merely being on? Activity from last night? Water stains? Water stains and accident last night.
elementary.
It seems the water stains have a logical explanation outside of Lupin's influence. Can I verify this? Water stains not from Lupin. Activity from last night and nothing unusual.
It would be wise.
Activity from last night and what else? Fireplaces being used irregularly?
There we have it.
The irregular use of the fireplace could explain what I suspect, such as the displaced logs. Oh gosh. Irregular use explains activity. Nothing unusual discovered.
When you have eliminated
No marks from the fireplace were found anywhere in the house. No suspicious marks found. What the hell? Lupin couldn't have used the fireplaces. Wait. Okay. But what about all the water and stuff? I'm sure the secret entrance is connected to the bookshelves. It is only which one that I'm still to determine. The beacon through the darkness and struggles that stand before us. Without its guidance, we would be lost, wandering alone, aimless through the hardships of this world. I do enjoy a riddle, especially when it may help with my search for the secret entrance. Which bookcase matches the clues to the riddle? Lupin couldn't have used the fireplace without leaving us the smallest clue. What about the water? And the new logs could have explained the fact that... whatever. I'm guessing what they mean is that because there's new logs, somebody would have discovered something strange if they were to clean out the fireplace. So Lupin didn't use the fireplace because everything was normal. Which bookcase could lead to the secret tunnel? A beacon through the darkness and struggles that stand before us. Without its guidance, we would be lost, wandering alone, aimless through the hardships of this world. Section on navigation. On the shelves, various books filled with maps and details about navigation. including one 300-year-old book on constellation and how they used to guide people. Yeah, that makes sense. Guidance of the stars. I don't often rely on assumptions, but the section talking of light is most related to the riddle and potentially the secret entrance. Now, to work out how to open this, Duke Rollo's book had an interesting passage. I wonder if that could help.
I have my methods for a reason.
Lupin could not have used the fireplace without leaving the smallest clue. How to access the secret tunnel behind the bookcases. The secret tunnel's entrance is no longer a mystery, but the question still remains on how to open it. I know where the secret entrance is, but not how to get the darn thing open. Oh, there's a lot of exclamation marks. I'm not reading all that. But I need to make 4 connections. Okay. Bishop and pawn. Poison chalice and poison books.
I have my method.
Could this give me a clue to opening the secret tunnel? Clue connection. Rings at dawn, golden helm, bishop and pawn. Section on navigation. Section on crime. Horror section. Section on famous figures. Duke's home in his chateau. Golden helm. Extremely heavy. Section on navigation. Not so just. Who rings in the dawn? What the heck does that mean? Navigation, bishop and pawn, section on famous figures. I'm very confused what the connections are. I'm just gonna start connecting shit.
There has to... That...
I'm super confused.
It would be what?
Oh, I have to connect them to each other.
I'll never... That points...
What?
There has to be...
You're what? Oh my god, it's up here. Oh god, I'm so stupid. I didn't realize there was stuff up here. Bishop and pawn goes with the chess set. Could this give me a clue to opening the secret? Golden helm with the armor.
Elementary.
And then the bells with the bells.
When you have eliminated the...
I have all the information I need to open the door. What better time to try than now? Could this give me the clue to opening the secret tunnel? That gave me all the clues, but what the fuck was I so? What am I supposed to do with it? Do I have to talk to Mr. Devin? What's this book on the floor? I guess it belongs to the floor. Okay, never mind. I'll just figure it out myself. Section on navigation. Oh. Oh my god. Is this another number thing? Oh motherfucker. I can poke every single one of these books. Oh, and these ones. Those are for colors. And there's random shit here. Oh my gosh, there's more on this side. Oh boy. And poke every single one of these. This is like those organization games. Oh, and this is, oh my gosh, and this section too. Okay. Calm down now, game. I don't know why you've given me so many sections of books to poke. It's kind of wild. Alright, something about the chess set, though. Something about it. I can say with almost certainty this set was handmade, and made especially to order. There are 4 bishops in the game of chess. There are 16 pawns in the game of chess. 4 bishops and 16 pawns. I've always found the comfort and flexibility of medieval armor interesting. There are far greater range of movements and space inside them that regularly believed. Could this be significant? A number 2 can be inscribed, can be seen inscribed on the back. Gold 2? I've always found the comfort. Okay. Oh, this one doesn't have an inscription? Okay, we're not gonna check that one? Sure. Okay, not that one? Sure. Okay, cool. Oh, so the helm is 2. I guess bishops have 4 and pawns have 16. That's important. Well, this stuff. What else is important? What significance does everything have? Oh boy. Sound like I've discovered something. But no, it's just a cabinet again. Okay, nothing with the telescope, nothing up here, nothing over here. Just making sure. Alright, bookshelf! You're significant somehow. Maybe I can review my clues or something. Oh, I investigate the bells for clues. Okay, let's investigate the bells for clues. There's 4 bells. Does that mean anything? There are 4 bells that look as old as the building. Okay, what does that mean? Bells 4? Sure. We're just collecting a whole slew of numbers. I like these plants. These are nice plants. Wouldn't you agree, maid? Those are some good plants right there. Why is this ashtray full? It should be cleaned up. Cleaned up and ready to use. Alright. This might be everything. I might just have to guess what books and numbers mean together. There are 16 pawns and 4 bishops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Shit. There's only 15. What am I looking for then? There's 3 different colors of something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. What? Oh, the gold. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are all these numbers that you've given me, okay? What the fuck are all these numbers that you've given me? One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, each section is a different thing. Is a different part of the puzzle. Okay. And I only need to pull out one book for each? Oh nah. Is it 4 and 16? Is it 4 for here and something? Is it the gold one for the gold? Gold 2. So gold is for the second shelf, maybe. For the armor. There are 4 bells. Staring at books. There's nothing indicating that any of them have to do with chess. Because it's not like these are chess pieces. Oh, I just realized I'm going up and down the shelf. Is this the chess pieces? There's like 2, there's 1 king. Well, there would also be 1 queen. Doesn't mean shit to me. Why is there 15 of this book? If it was 16, it would make sense. Oh boy. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my gosh, the books go up and down. I don't think that's on purpose. But the entire shelf of books go up and down a little bit every time I click a book. I don't think that's on purpose. That's funny. I think it's just that shelf too. Oh no, this one jiggles a little. Every time I click a book, that one jiggles. I don't think it means anything. What does this mean? Only 1 book can be... Okay, wait, okay. How many shelves do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At most, I have 4 numbers. Servant bells rings at dawn. Significant to the riddle. The golden helm had 2 on it. That's the only thing I know. The chess set. Okay. Section on herbs. herbs. Herbs, they had something to do with 3. Right? 300 € book. Has a poison been bookmarked on page 3? To be significant. So I do have 5 numbers, but what do they... Where do I put them? Like, in what order do I put them in? Well, this one can't be pawns, at least. Because there's not enough books. Oh my god, the spider went across my screen. maybe this one is pawns. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I've already pulled that one out. maybe this one is bishops because it's got a filigree. I don't fucking know. Maybe this one is bells. It's the only one left. No? That's not it? Okay. Maybe this one's poisons. Poisons is 3. Or maybe this one is 2. What the fuck? Okay. Let me revisit the clues. Okay, fine. It doesn't let me re-click this.
Oh.
It's really not letting me re-click this. But it had a 2 in Roman numerals in there, I swear. Okay, we're not looking at that then. Chess set. There are 4 bishops in the game of chess. And 16 pawns in the game of chess. 4 bishops and 16 pawns. Alright, 4 bishops and 16 pawns. There are 4 bells that look as old as the building. Maybe it has to do with age? Chess set is custom. 4 bells, gold. There's the what are the other clues? That was it. I only needed to look at 4 different things. Poison chalice. Oh, that was the herbs. The herbs had 3 on it. Okay. Bishops. Bishops and pawns we have. The golden helm is the 2. And the rings at dawn are the servant bells. I just have to input them into the bookshelf now. In a random ass order. So some of these puzzles are weird. All right. 5 different numbers inputted into this thing. Okay, there's only so many combinations I can have. The numbers are 3, 2, 4, 16, and 4. In what order? I'll just do it in that order. Oh, I can't do 16 for this one. It has to be one of the other numbers. Alright, I'm gonna put 4 in this one then. Which one's 16? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I guess 4 for this one. That didn't work? Alright. Maybe it's 4 for this one. 2. No? Oh, you. No? Fuck. I don't see any other. I don't see. Whoa, God. What are the clues indicating that this is the right section for the number that I'm putting this in?
Huh.
Was there something about navigation? Shows are various MMS, including the book on constellation and how they're used to guide people. No. Fuck. Okay. So there's something about navigation here. No! Not any more than I have. Book dedicated to Duke Rollo. Direct connection to the chateau. Oh, this is why I don't like puzzle games on stream. It takes forever for me to get anything. Ah, this probably has the order of it. For those following the light trail, heed these words. Heavy is the golden helm. Okay, helm is... Oh my god. I just... rings at dawn. Okay, and then that's bells. Drinking from poison chalice. That's the herbs. Shared between bishop and pawn. So bishop and then pawn. Oh my god, there's the order. Christ! I'm so tired! Don't eat your popcorn, Tisha. Okay, helm is 2. Second bell is 4. Thirdly, is herbs is 3. Fourth bishop is 4. And then this one's 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Fuck! That was it! Oh! Oh, do I or do not I not edit out my struggling? Oh my god. I need a break. No edits? Damn it. It's just me going back and forth with the clues over and over again for like the past hour or something. I don't know if that's a terrible experience for anyone watching. I'm so sorry. Oh, with that, the secret tension should reveal itself. Nobody's hiring me to do this. I'm sure in canon, Herlock Sholmes would have immediately gotten that. Damn it. I should make Mr. Devan aware of my discoveries. Sure. Nobody's paying me to do this.
You're the best. If anyone can catch it, it's you.
I love puzzle games, but damn, sometimes the brain no worky the same doing the thing. The secret entrance.
What did I say? Right man for the job.
It was quite simple when approached logically, as was the riddle. How it baffled so many for so long, well...
baffles me.
That feels like a personal insult to me right now. How did the riddle baffle me for so long? Oh my god, the spider. Can you please not be on my screen? Okay, it is behind the screen. Oh, now it's on my webcam. Okay, hi. Here we are at Duke Rollo's tomb. 4 p.m. the 29th of June, 1903.
I thought you appreciated the history of the house.
I do. I just wish it were a little tidier.
I get the impression Mr. Devan isn't as interested or invested in the history of the chateau as he first implied.
Look at that face of
Rather
disgust.
just as well.
A burnt
This
candle.
candle has been lit recently, meaning...
Meaning someone, Lupin, has been here. Ha! I'm getting pretty good at this, right?
Yes, very good.
Why was the book put on this side now? Oh my god, what am I looking for? Unexpected present.
Ah,
A what? My watch? A very familiar watch. Why be so audacious as to steal from the legendary Herlock Sholmes? Because his ego is gigantic. My own watch, signed and sealed from Arsene Lupin.
You told me you didn't orchestrate that meeting with Detective Sholmes?
And that is the truth. But while he hesitated to seize his moment to apprehend me, I took mine to get on the front foot and set the stage for my next adversary.
You just couldn't help yourself.
You say it as though I hadn't learned anything. I no longer cared for what the wealthy considered valuable. My time in La Santé had shown me that there were more important things than material treasures.
Like going head-to-head with a detective from England?
Like not only challenging and pushing myself, but those that are there to protect the innocent of this world. How can they put their faith in those they believe they can trust if they are outsmarted by the likes of me?
We are both aware Arsene Lupin is no ordinary man.
A watch? How did it get here?
it appears that...
It's yours, isn't it? But to return it, Herlock Sholmes' watch, stolen by Arsene Lupin. Excuse me, it's just that it was you that said he wasn't to be underestimated, and now this.
A clever man indeed. Someday, we shall have the pleasure of meeting again. The world is just too small.
My watch! Lupin felt threatened by my presence? I don't think so. I should have seen it earlier. It makes perfect sense. I've never heard of Arsene Lupin conceding defeat, but Arsene was never threatened by my presence. He was merely seeking a new challenge, and I being the best.
Excuse me, sir. Is this the way to the castle? The well-dressed and polite man asked. Yes, monsieur. Straight ahead. They are expecting you. My friend Devan told us that you were coming, and I am delighted to be the first to welcome you. Herlock Sholmes has no keener admirers than myself. The irony of such a meeting seemingly and understandably lost on the unaware detective.
Inspector Ganimard wasn't enough of a challenge for you?
Inspector
As Monsieur
Ganimard has
Devance,
been defeated.
If you want to be the best, you must beat the best, thus concluding.
What? No, that can't be the end of it. Why did you return Monsieur Devan's belongings? Who found you the night of the burglary?
There's really nothing more to tell. It's not necessary for the story we're telling.
What?
You want the truth to be known? Now is your chance.
You aren't going to let this go, are you?
That's the juicy bit. Final engagement, a chance meeting. Chateau de Tibermenil, 2 a.m. I'm sure Devane won't miss this. What was that? Who could it be at this hour? If they were to see me like this, it'd be quite a predicament, and nowhere to hide.
It's you, Miss Nellie.
What?
Miss Underdown.
No longer Miss Nellie. The face that kept my mind sane during the long months imprisoned. Now a stranger.
Of course. I didn't expect to see you here.
No, I'm sure you didn't.
What are you doing here? Will you allow me the opportunity to explain? There is so much that needs to be said. All of these are kind of options.
I have nothing to say.
Will you at least listen?
If I can hear the desperation in my own voice, surely she can too.
I shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here.
What are you doing here?
I was invited as a guest. I presume you were not?
Not directly. Although, I suppose...
I'll take that as a no.
It's obvious that she hasn't forgiven my previous deceptions.
Will you allow me the opportunity to explain?
What is there to say? Your actions speak for themselves.
How am I to prove my feelings for her are and always have been true if she won't let me speak?
Why even bother explaining your feelings to her? She's married. Right? She had a whole... Didn't she marry, or was it just an engagement? She has a fiancé either way. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
I can't even imagine what you'll be doing then.
Everything will be returned. The furniture, the art, everything. You have my word.
Everything?
Everything. Then can we talk?
Oh, those jewels belong to her friend. Will you meet with me?
Listen. Footsteps. I hear someone.
I don't hear anything.
You must go. You must escape.
There it is. A flash of hope. She must still care.
Nothing in the world could make me break that promise. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
I understand now why you returned everything, but I don't understand how you did it.
It was you that spoke of the return of the army wagon full of furniture.
That I know, but how did you organize it from the house? You must have been surrounded by guests and staff.
Need I remind you of my title?
How could I forget?
At 2 p.m.
I made a promise to Miss Nellie that Monsieur Devan's belongings would be returned, and I intend to keep it.
Oh gosh. Okay. Timeline time. The gate should be opened only as the transport approaches to have maximum dramatic effect. I must start with my disguise. A member of the staff should allow me to blend in and move around freely. The grounds need to be clear well before the goods are returned. With everything on the ground ready, I'll need to let my men know it's time. If they move with haste, they should be here within 10 minutes. For the show to be effective, I'll need an audience. And what better way to do that than with a transport full of stolen goods pulling into the grounds? Okay. I'm gonna start with my disguise. The gates will open. Why does this even need a timeline? These are all things that aren't don't need to be in chronological order. These are all just statements for stuff. The grounds need to be cleared well before the goods are returned. With everything on the grounds ready, I'll need to let my men know it's time. The gate should be opened only as transport. For the show to be effective, I'll need an audience, and what better way to do that than with the transport of stolen goods pulling into the grounds. There, that's fine. The plan is now in motion, and my promise will be fulfilled. Then it'll be time to find Miss Nelly.
Hey.
Yeah, wasn't this staff member the one we were pretending to be? How did nobody notice there was the same staff member? The furniture has been successfully returned, and with only minutes to spare, I must find Miss Nelly Underdown. She's right there. You don't need to find shit. Is there anything to look at before we talk to her? Give her some flowers from the vase right beside her.
Have I not kept my promise?
I can see everything has been returned, but I fear for the wrong reasons.
Oh, she got a new outfit. That's cute.
There's no question about it. This is my last chance to
Or
prove
was I
to
just
her
distracted
I'm no
by a
longer the man
hat?
she reads about in the newspaper.
I'm no longer the man she reads about in the newspaper? No, you're exactly the exact same. What are you talking about? You're still a thief.
Why did you return Mr. Devan's belongings?
It was the right thing to do. I wanted to show you I'm a man of my word. I never cared about any of it. I want to show you I'm a man of my word.
Then you should have been honest with me from the start. If I hadn't caught you, would you have returned today?
No! That's the answer. No! If there was a chance to explain myself to you, of course. No, of course. It's all just a game. No, I'll freaking suck up to her.
You don't know the difference between the actual truth and what you've convinced yourself of.
The truth is really pure and never simple.
You won't
Shit.
convince me of your lies with cleverly worded riddles. Have you committed any other crimes since you escaped?
Yeah, actually, a whole bunch. Define crime only out of necessity. I think you already know.
And your arrogance stops you from admitting it.
Many confused confidence with her.
The ignorance to think your antics wouldn't make the national and international papers. I've read about everything.
Everything.
Your time in Turkey, the aliases, Floriani Night and Captain Giano, the burglaries in Montigny.
If she knows the details surrounding my time in Turkey, she'll know of the good I did in the name of my female traveling companion. There may still be hope.
Why do it all? The burglaries, the deception, the lies.
Who wouldn't want to live a life of luxury? I want to give people hope. It's all I've ever known. What is honest here? Burglaries, the deception, the lies. It's all I've ever known?
You don't have to live the life
Fuck.
that was handed to you.
I've never had anything handed to me. Everything I have, I earned myself.
And what kind of
Oh no, that was right. That answer was right. These conversations with Miss Nelly Underdown are like the hardest part. Don't look at the terrible time I had with that last puzzle. Finding the secret thing. These are the hardest because I can't save Scum.
This is your last chance. What do you have to say?
There's still a chance for us to be together. Voilà la santé, you were all I thought about. I'm sorry?
First apology.
First of,
And the last.
can you not separate the past from the present? Look at me, if only for a moment, as you did when I was Bernard d'Andrézy.
When you were someone else completely.
I am still that man.
And you are still Arsene Lupin.
Without saying a word, she pointed to a ring he was wearing on his forefinger, which consisted of a magnificent ruby. The ring belonged to Georges Davan. Once a thief, always a thief.
I'm sorry, that's how it ended.
Hindsight must surely be the most useless function of the human brain, torturing oneself over an unalterable past.
If I have learned anything from our time together, it's that you're far more than just a thief. And I mean that in the politest way.
Thank you, my friend. It still doesn't make the loss any less painful.
Alright, Ikaru.
One loss in a career of victories. Consider it that way.
The loss that
Good
cut
morning,
so much deeper than the
Ikaru.
failed attempt on any jewel or diamond ever could.
Did you ever see her again?
Miss Underdown? I was tempted over the years, but seeing each other face to face wouldn't have been right for either of us.
Why specify face to face, Arsene?
Because Arsene is a fucking stalker. I'm glad he's not getting the girl. Wait, unless he does. I'd be mad. If he gets the girl in the end, he doesn't fucking deserve it. Oh my god, he's leaving. Why would she be happy about that? She just expressed the fact that she did not like him stealing. Why would she be blushing and smiling about that? That's bullshit. So that was the end of the the end of the game. I had fun. That last puzzle. I'm glad I got it at the end, okay? And I didn't have to look it up. I only had to look things up twice, okay? I think. So that's nice, I think. Good game. Pretty fun. Doesn't matter whether he does crimes if he's hot, right? No, but the thing is, right, like literally 2 minutes before that, this thing that happened, she just said like, "Oh, I can't do it because you're the despicable Arsene Lupin." So why the fuck? Why the fuck would she be happy about stolen diamonds from Lupin? And if she didn't mind, why wouldn't she just date the thief then? If she really didn't care, as long as he was hot, she would have just said yes. But the story made her say no, so why would she be happy about a fucking stalker thief boyfriend? Also, don't make the music louder. I must talk. The theme music trying to drown me out about this bullshit. Thank you, Blazing Griffins, for this. Overall, I liked the style. Okay, I think they definitely did. They were doing their like deduction thingies with the mind maps. It's okay. I think they did a better job than the Hercule Poirot ones that they did previously. Clues made a bit more sense. Still, sometimes like, it's part of the genre of the game to choose the wrong answers before you get to the right answers. Sure, whatever. The puzzles, some of them were fun. The lockbox one is fucking bullshit, though. The lockbox one was absolute bullshit. Some of the timeline stuff were like, whatever. Story is fun, but I think it's because it's Arsene Lupin that made it fun. This ending with Miss Nelly, though. Miss Nelly, if If you get with him in the end, I so much disrespect. I'm disrespecting your choices if you choose him at the end. I know Arsene is hot, but come on, man. Have some self-respect. Anyways, Ikaru, thank you for redeeming a bedtime story. So I guess we'll be doing that right now. I have a book that's quite that I've that I bought a couple like last year. It's a murder mystery, but it's like, how long is it? Let me look. Is the Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. It's a 280 page book. Wow, now there's no music. Whatever story I want to read, yeah. The thing is, I've been trying to read this for a while, but I have zero concentration on physical books now. So here we are. I get to read this on stream now. Thank you, Ikaru. Maybe it'll spark my interest in reading this story. Anthony Horowitz was a writer that I used to read like 20 years ago. When I read his kids novels, I guess. Not kids, maybe like teen. But anyways, let's read Magpie Murders. At the back it says that the first thing on the blurb, I don't know if he wrote this or if somebody else wrote this, but it says, a fiendishly brilliant thriller that weaves a classic whodunit worthy of Agatha Christie. So we shall find out whether or not this book lives up to the name of Agatha Christie. Yin slowly giving out age. Look. Yin is ageless, okay? Don't at me. I feel like I am the average age for the Garden Circle members. I'm pulling everyone down with me. All right. Let me take a quick break, grab some more water, and then I shall read. I am back with water and with determination to read more. Oh, geez. Okay. This is the foreword, I think. I did not realize this was a... Oh my goodness. This a series. I did not realize this was part of a series. I'm reading a little bit of the foreword, and it says, Magpie Murder is the number 9 in the much beloved world-selling Atticus Pund series. I'm not gonna read the rest of the foreword. But somebody says they had a good time reading it. That's what somebody says. Alan Conway. Oh my goodness. Who the heck is Alan Conway? I hope we don't need to know any of the previous books in the series. And I can just get right to it. All right. 1. Sorrow. The 23rd of July, 1950 fee. 50 fee? Oh my good God, I'm not ready to read anything. I was just thinking about slowly giving out my age. I think if you listen to me talk about games and anime and stuff, you can give an educated guess as to what my age is. I think I can do that a lot of the times when I listen to like streamers. Very rarely when they talk about things, I'm just like, I see. Not that it matters very much, but you know, it's fun. It's fun to guess. All right. Sorrow. Prayers. It's 23rd of July, 1955. Wait, what was that about House Moving Castle? Well, I mean, to be fair, I didn't say I saw it in theaters. I could just like Ghibli movies, okay? That doesn't count for anything. There was going to be a funeral. The two gravediggers, old Jeff Weaver and his son, Adam, had been out at first light, and everything was ready. The grave dug to the exact proportions. The earth neatly piled to one side. The church of St. Botolph's in Saxby-on-Avon had never looked lovelier. The morning sun glinted off the stained glass windows. The church dated back to the 12th century, although of course it had been rebuilt many times. The new grave was to the east, close to the ruins of the old chancel, where the grass was allowed to grow wild and daisies and dandelions sprouted around the broken arches. The village itself was quiet, the streets empty. The milkman had already made his deliveries and disappeared. The bottles rattled on the back of his van. The newspaper boys had done their rounds. This was a Saturday, so nobody would be going to work, and it was still too early for the homeowners to begin their weekend chores. At 9 o'clock, the village shop would open. The smell of bread, fresh out of the oven, was already seeping out of the baker's shop next door. Their first customers would be arriving soon. Once breakfast was over, a chorus of lawnmowers would start up. It was July, the busiest time of year for the Saxby-on-Avon's keen army of gardeners, and with harvest fair just a month away, roses were already being pruned, marrows carefully measured. At 1:30, there was to be a cricket match on the village green. There would be an ice cream van, children playing, visitors having picnics in the front of their cars, and the tea shop would be open for business. A perfect English summer's afternoon. But not yet. It was as if the village was holding its breath, in respectful silence, waiting for the coffin that was about to begin its journey from Bath. Even now it was being loaded into the hearse, surrounded by its somber attendants, 5 men and a woman, all of them avoiding each other's eyes as if they were unsure where to look. 4 of the men were professional undertakers from a highly respected firm of Lanner and Crane. The company had existed since Victorian times, when it had been principally involved in carpentry and construction. At that time, coffins and funerals had been a sideline, almost an afterthought. But, perversely, it was this part of the business that had survived. Lanner and Crane no longer built homes, but their name had become a byword for respectful death. Today's event was very much the economy package. The hearse was an older model. There were to be no black horses or extravagant wreaths. The coffin itself, although handsomely finished, had been manufactured from what was, without question, inferior wood. A simple plaque, silver-plated rather than silver, carried the name of the deceased and the two essential dates: Mary Elizabeth Blackiston, 5th of April, 1887, to 15th of July, 1955. Her life had not been as long as it seemed, crossing 2 centuries as it did, but then it had been cut short quite unexpectedly. There were not even enough money in Mary's funeral plan to cover the final cost. Not that it mattered, as the insurers would cover the difference, and she would have been glad to see that everything was proceeding according to her wishes. The hearse left exactly on time, setting out on the 8-mile journey as the minute hand reached 9:30. Continuing at an appropriately sedate pace, it would arrive at the church on the hour. If Lanner and Crane had a slogan, it might as well have been "Never late." And although the 2 mourners traveling with the coffin might not have noticed it, the countryside had never looked lovelier. The fields on either side of the low flint walls sloping down towards the River Avon, which would follow them all the way. In the cemetery at St. Botolph's, the 2 gravediggers examined their handiwork. There were many things to be said about a funeral, profound, reflective, philosophical, but Jeff Weaver got it right, as, leaning on his spade and rolling a cigarette in between his grubby fingers, he turned to his son. "If you're going to die," he said, "you couldn't choose a better day." Two. Sitting on the kitchen table in the vicarage, the Reverend Robin Osborne was making the final adjustments to his sermon. There were 6 pages spread out on the table in front of him, typed, but already covered in annotations added in his spidery hand. Was it too long? There had been complaints recently from some of his congregation that his sermons had dragged on a bit, and even the bishop had shown some impatience during his address on the Pentecost Sunday. But this was different. Mrs. Blackiston had lived her entire life in the village. Everyone knew her. Surely they would spare half an hour, or even 40 minutes, of their time to say farewell. The kitchen was a large, cheerful room with an aga radiating a gentle warmth of the whole year round. Pots and pans hung from hooks, and there were jars filled with fresh herbs and dried mushrooms that the Osbornes had picked themselves. Upstairs, there were 2 bedrooms, both snug and homely with shag carpets, hand-embroidered pillowcases, and brand-new skylights that had only been added after much consultation with the church. But the main joy of the vicarage was its position, on the edge of the village, looking out to the woodland, and everyone knew it as Dingle Dell. There was a wild meadow, speckled with flowers in the spring and summer, then a stretch of woodland whose trees, mainly oaks and elms, concealed the grounds of Pye Hall on the other side. The lake, the lawns, then the house itself. Every morning, Robin Osborne awoke to a view that could not fail to delight him. He sometimes thought he was living in a fairy tale. The vicarage hadn't always been like this. When they had inherited the house and the diocese from the elderly Reverend Montague, it had been very much an old man's home, damp and unwelcoming. But Henrietta had worked her magic, and throwing out all the furniture that she deemed too ugly or too uncomfortable, and scouring the second-hand shops of Wiltshire and Avon, to find perfect replacements. Her energy never ceased to amaze him, and that she had chosen to be a vicar's wife in the first place was surprising enough. But she had thrown herself into her duties with an enthusiasm that made her popular from the day they had arrived. The two of them could not be happier than they were on Saxby and Avon. It was true that the church needed attention. The heating system was permanently on blink. The roof had started leaking again, but their congregation was more than large enough to satisfy their bishop and the many of the worshippers they now consider as friends. They wouldn't have dreamed of being anywhere else. She was part of the village. Although we are here today to mourn her departure, we should remember what she has left behind. Mary made Saxby on Avon a better place for everyone else, whether it was arranging the flowers every Sunday in this very church, visiting the elderly here and at Ashton House, collecting the RSPB, or greeting visitors at Pye Hall. Her homemade cakes were always the star of the village fete, and I can tell you there were many occasions where she would surprise me in the vestry with one of her almond bites or perhaps a slice of Victoria sponge. You came right after the game ended, Luna. But good morning anyways. Now it's story time. Bedtime story. Go to bed. Osborne tried to picture the woman who had spent most of her life working as a housekeeper in Pye Hall. Small, dark-haired, and determined. She had always been in a rush, as if on personal crusade. His memories of her seemed mainly to be in a mid-distance because, in truth, they had never spent that much time in the same room. They had been together at one or two social occasions perhaps, but not that many. The sort of people who lived on Saxby-on-Avon were outright snobs. But at the same time, they were very well aware of class, and although a vicar might be deemed a suitable addition to any social gathering, the same could not be said of someone who was, at the end of the day, a cleaner. Perhaps she had been aware of this. Even at church, she had tended to take a pew at the very back. There was something quite differential about the way she insisted on helping people, as if she had somehow owed it to them. Or was it simpler than that? When he thought about her and looked at what he had just written, a single word came to mind: busybody. It wasn't fair that it certainly wasn't something that he would have ever spoken out loud, but he had to admit there was some truth to it. She was the sort of woman who had a finger in every pie, apple and blackberry included, who had made it her business to connect with everyone in the village. Somehow, she was always there when you needed her. The trouble was, she was also there when you didn't. He remembered finding her here in this very room just over a fortnight ago. He was annoyed with himself. He should have expected it. Henrietta was always complaining about the way he left the front door open, as if the vicarage were merely an appendage to the church, rather than their private home. He should have listened to her. Mary had shown herself in, and she was standing there, holding up a little bottle of green liquid, as if it were some medieval talisman used to ward off demons. "Good morning, Vicar. I heard you were having some trouble with wasps. I've brought you some peppermint oil. That'll get rid of them. My mother always used to swear by it." It was true. There had been wasps in the vicarage, but how had she known? Osborne hadn't told anyone except Henrietta, and she certainly would have mentioned it. Of course, that was to be expected of the community like Saxby-on-Avon. Somehow, in some unfathomable way, everyone knew everything about everyone, and it had been said that if you sneezed in the bath, someone would appear with a tissue. Seeing her there, Osborne hadn't been sure whether to be grateful or annoyed. He had muttered a word of thanks, but at the same time he had glanced down at the kitchen table. And there they were, just lying there in the middle of his papers. How long had she been in the room? Had she seen them? She wasn't saying anything, and of course he didn't dare ask her. He had ushered her out as quickly as he could, and that had been the last time he had seen her. He and Henrietta had been away on holiday when she had died. They had only just returned in time to bury her. He heard footsteps and looked up as Henrietta came into the room. She was fresh out of the bath, still wrapped in a toweling dressing gown. Now in her late 40s, she was still a very attractive woman, with chestnut hair tumbling down and a figure that clothing catalogs would have described as full. She came from a very different world. The youngest daughter of a wealthy farmer with 1,000 acres in the West Sussex. And yet, when the two of them had met in London, at a lecture being given at the Wigmore Hall, they had discovered an immediate affinity. They had married without the approval of her parents, and they were as close as they had ever been. Their one regret was that their marriage had not been blessed with any children. But of course, that was God's will, and they had come to accept it. They were happy simply being with each other. "I thought you'd finished with that," she said. She had taken butter and honey out of the pantry. She cut herself a slice of bread, just adding a few last-minute thoughts. "Well, I wouldn't take too long if I were you, Robin. It is a Saturday, after all, and everyone's going to want to get on. We're gathering in the Queen's Arm afterwards, at 11 o'clock. That's nice." Henrietta carried a plate with her breakfast over to the table, and plumped herself down. "Did Sir Magus ever reply to your letter?" "No, but I'm sure he'll be there." "Well, he's leaving it jolly late." She leaned over and looked at one of the pages. "You can't say that." "What?" "The life and soul of any party." "Why not?" "Because she wasn't. I always found her rather buttoned up and secretive, if you want the truth. Not easy to talk to at all." "She was quite entertaining when she came here last Christmas." "She joined in the carols, if that's what you mean, but you never really know what she was thinking. I can't say I liked her very much." "You shouldn't talk to her about that. You shouldn't talk about her that way, Anne. Certainly not today." "I don't see why not. That's the only thing that's the only thing about funerals. They're completely hypocritical. Everyone says how wonderful the deceased was, how kind, how generous, when, deep down, they know it's not true. I didn't ever take to Mary Blackenson, and I'm not going to start singing her praises just because she managed to fall down a flight of stairs and break her neck." "You're being a little uncharitable." "I'm being honest, Robbie, and I know you think exactly the same, even if you're trying to convince yourself otherwise. But don't worry. I promise I won't disgrace you in front of the mourners." She pulled a face. "There, is that sad enough?" "Hadn't you better get ready?" "I'd got it all laid out upstairs. Black dress, black hat, black pearls," she sighed. "When I die, I don't want to wear black. It's so cheerless. Promise me. I want to be buried in pink, with a bunch of begonias in my hands." "You're not going to die. Not any time soon. Now go upstairs and get dressed." All right, you bully." She leaned over him and felt her breast, soft and warm. "What?" She leaned over him, and he felt her breasts, soft and warm, pressing against his neck. She kissed him on the cheek, and then hurried out, leaving her breakfast on the table. Robin Osborne smiled to himself as he returned to his address. Perhaps she was right. He could cut out a page or two. Once again, he looked down at what he'd written. Mary Blackenson, or Mary Blackiston did not have an easy life. She knew personal tragedy soon after she came to Saxby-on-Avon, and she could so easily have allowed it to overwhelm her, but she fought back. She was the sort of woman who embraced life, who would never let it get the better of her. And as we lay her to rest beside the son whom she loved so much and whom she lost so tragically, perhaps we can take some solace from the thought that they are at last together. Robin Osborne read the paragraph twice. Once again, he saw her standing there, in this very room, right next to the table. I heard you were having trouble with the wasps. Had she seen them? Had she known? The sun must have gone behind the cloud because suddenly there was a shadow across his face. He reached out, tore up the entire page, and dropped the pieces into the bin. 3. Dr. Emilia Redwing had woken early. She had lain in bed for an hour, trying to persuade herself that she might still get back to sleep. Then she had got up and put on a dressing gown and made herself a cup of tea. She had been sitting in the kitchen ever since, watching the sun rise over her garden and beyond it, the ruins of Saxby Castle, a 13th century structure which gave pleasure to the many hundreds of amateur historians who visited it, but which cut out the sunlight every afternoon, casting a long shadow over the house. It was a little after 8:30. The newspaper should have been delivered by now. She had a few patient files in front of her, and she busied herself going over them, partly to distract herself from the day ahead. The surgery was usually open on Saturday mornings, but today, because of the funeral, it would be closed. Oh well, it was a good time to catch up with her paperwork. There was never anything serious to treat at the village like Saxby-on-Avon. If there was one thing that could carry off the residents, it was old age, and Dr. Redwing couldn't do very much about that. Going through the files, she cast a wary eye over the various ailments that recently come her way. Miss Dotterel, who helped at the village shop, was getting over the measles after a week spent in bed. 99-year-old Billy Weaver had a nasty attack of whooping cough, but it was already behind him. His grandfather, Jeff Weaver, had arthritis, but then he had it for years, and it wasn't getting any better or worse. Johnny Whitehead had cut his hand. Henrietta Osborne, the vicar's wife, had managed to step on a clump of deadly nightshade, Atropa belladonna, and had somehow infected her entire foot. She had prescribed a week's bed rest and plenty of water. Other than that, the warm summer seemed to have been good for everyone's health. No, not everyone's. No, there had been a death. Dr. Redwing pushed the files to one side and went over to the stove where she busied herself making breakfast for her and her husband. She had already heard Arthur moving about upstairs, and there had been an unusual grinding and rattling as he poured himself his bath. The plumbing in the house was at least 50 years old and complained loudly every time it was pressed into service. But at least it did the job. He would be down soon. She cut the bread for toast, filled a saucepan with water, and placed it on the hob. Took out the milk and the cornflakes, and laid the table. Arthur and Amelia Redwing had been married for 30 years. A happy and successful marriage, she thought to herself, even if things had gone quite, or hadn't gone quite as they had hoped. For a start, there was Sebastian, their only child, now 24 and living with his deadbeat friends in London. How could he have become such a disappointment? And when exactly was it that he had turned against them? Neither of them had heard from him for months, and they couldn't even be sure if he was alive or dead. And then there was Arthur himself. He had started life as an architect, and a good one, and he had been given the Sloane Medallion by the Royal Institute of British Architects for design and he had completed for design he had completed at art school. He had worked on several of the new buildings that had sprung up immediately after the war, but his real love had been painting, mainly portraits in oils, and 10 years ago he had given up his career to work as a full-time artist. He'd done so with Amelia's full support. One of his works hung in the kitchen, on the walls beside the Welsh dresser, and she glanced at it now. It was a portrait of herself, painted 10 years ago, and she had smiled when she looked at it, remembering the extended silences as she sat for him, surrounded by wildflowers. Her husband never talked when he worked, and there had been dozens of sittings during a long, hot summer, and Arthur had somehow managed to capture the heat, the haze in the late afternoon, and even the scent of the meadow. She was wearing a long dress with a straw hat, like a female Van Gogh. She had joked, and perhaps there was something of that artist style in the rich colors and the jabbing brushstrokes. She was not a beautiful woman. She knew it. Her face was too severe, her broad shoulders and her dark hair too masculine. And there was something of the teacher, or perhaps the governess, in the way she held herself. People found her too formal, but he had found something beautiful in her. If the picture had hung in the London gallery, nobody would be able to pass it without looking twice. It didn't. It hung here. No London galleries were interested in Arthur or his works. Emilia couldn't understand it. The two of them had gone to the summer exhibition at the Royal Academy and had looked at the work by James Gunn or Sir Alfred Munnings. There had been a controversial portrait of the Queen by Symonds Elwes, but it looked very ordinary and timid compared to his work. Why did nobody recognize Arthur Redwing for the genius that he undoubtedly was? She took 3 eggs and lowered them gently into the pan. 2 for him, 1 for her. One of them cracked as it came into contact with the boiling water, and at once she thought of Mary Blackiston, with her skull split open after her fall. She couldn't avoid it. Even now, she shuddered at the memory of what she had seen, and yet she wondered why that should be. It wasn't the first dead body she had encountered, and working in London during the worst of the Blitz, she had treated soldiers with terrible injuries. What had been so difficult about this? Perhaps it was the fact that the two of them had been close. It was true that the doctor and the housekeeper had very little in common, but they had become unlikely friends. It had started when Miss Blackiston was a patient. She suffered an attack of shingles, and it had lasted for a month, and Dr. Redwing had been impressed by both her stoicism and good sense. After that, she'd come to rely on her as a sounding board. She had to be careful. She couldn't breach patient confidentiality, but if there was something that troubled her, she would always rely on Mary to be a good listener and to offer sensible advice. And the end had been so sudden. An ordinary morning just over a week ago had been interrupted by Brent, the groundsman who worked at Pye Hall, on the phone. "Can you come? Dr. Redwing? It's Mrs. Blackiston. She's at the bottom of the stairs in the big house. She's lying there. I think she had a fall." "Is she moving?" "I don't think so." "Are you with her now?" "I can't get in. All the doors are locked." Brent was in his 30s, a crumpled young man with dirt beneath his fingers and sullen indifference in his eyes. He tended the lawns and the flower beds, and occasionally chased trespassers off the land, just as his father had before him. The grounds of Pye Hall backed onto the lake, and the children liked to swim there in the summer. But not if Brent was around. He was a solitary man, unmarried, living alone in the house that had once belonged to his parents. He was not much liked in the village because he was considered shifty. The truth was that he was uneducated and possibly a little autistic, but the rural community had been quick to fill in the blanks. Dr. Redwing told him to meet her at the front door, threw together a few medical supplies, and leaving her nurse/receptionist, Joy, to turn away any new arrivals, hurried to her car. Pye Hall was on the other side of Dingle Dell, 15 minutes on foot and no more than 5 minutes drive. It had always been there, as long as the village itself. And although it was a mishmash of architectural styles, it was certainly the grandest house in the area. It had started life as a nunnery, but had been converted into a private home in the 16th century, then knocked around in every century since. What remained was a single elongated wing with an octagonal tower, constructed much later at the far end. Most of the windows were Elizabethan, narrow and mullioned, but there was also Georgian and Victorian additions, with ivy spreading all around them, as if to apologize for the indiscretion. At the back, there was a courtyard and the remains of what might have been cloisters. A separate stable block was now used as a garage. But its main glory was its setting. A gate with 2 stone griffins marked the entrance, and a gravel drive past the lodge house where Mary Blackiston lived. Then swept around in a graceful swan's neck. Across the lawn, on the front door, was its Gothic arch. There were flower beds arranged like daubs of paint on an artist's palette, and enclosed by ornamental hedges a rose garden with, it was said, over 100 different varieties. The grass etched all the way down to the lake with Dingle Dell on the other side. Indeed, the whole estate was surrounded by nature and woodland, filled with bluebells in the spring, separating it from the modern world. The tires crunched on the gravel as Dr. Redwing came to a halt and saw Brent, waiting nervously for her, turning his cap over his hands. She got out, took her medicine bag, and went over to him. "Is there any signs of life?" "I haven't looked," Brent muttered. Dr. Redwing was startled. Hadn't he even tried to help the poor woman? Seeing the look on her face, he added, I told you I can't get in." "The front door is locked?" "Yes, ma'am. The kitchen door, too." "You don't have any keys?" "No, ma'am. I don't go in the house." Dr. Redwing shook her head, exasperated. In the time she had taken to get here, Brent could have done something, perhaps fetched a ladder or tried a window upstairs. "If you can't get in, how did you telephone me?" she asked. It didn't matter, but she just wondered. "There's a phone in the stables." "Well, you better show me where she is." "You can see through the door." "Sorry, you can see through the window." The window in question was at the edge of the house, one of the newer additions. It gave a side view of the hall with a wide staircase leading up to the first floor. And there, sure enough, was Mary Blackiston, lying sprawled on the rug, one arm stretched in front of her, partly concealing her head. From the very first sight, Dr. Redwing was fairly sure that she was dead. Somehow, she'd fallen down the stairs and broken her neck. She wasn't moving, of course, but it was more than that. The way the body was lying was too unnatural. It had that broken doll look that Dr. Redwing had observed in her medicine books. That was her instinct, but looks could be deceptive. "We have to get in," she said. "The kitchen and the front door are locked, but there must be another way." "We could try the boot room." "Where is that?" "Just along here." Brent had led her to another room at the back. This one had glass panes, and although it was also securely closed, Dr. Redwing clearly saw a bunch of keys still in the lock on the other side. "Whose are those?" she asked. "They must be hers." She came to a decision. "We're going to have to break the glass." "I don't think Sir Magnus would be too happy about that," Brent grumbled. Sir Magnus can take that up with me if he wants to. Now, are you going to do it, or am I? The groundsman wasn't happy, but he found a stone and used it to knock out one of the panes. He slipped his hand inside and turned the keys. The door opened and they went in. Waiting for the eggs to boil, Dr. Redwing remembered the scene exactly as she had seen it. It really was like a photograph printed in her mind. They had gone through the boot room, along a corridor, and straight into the main hall, with a staircase leading up to the galleried landing, dark wood paneling surrounding them. The walls were covered with oil paintings and hunting trophies, birds in glass cases, a deer's head, a huge fish, a suit of armor, complete with sword and shield, stood beside a door that led into the living room. The hallway was long and narrow, with a front door opposite the staircase, positioned exactly in the middle. And one side, there was a stone fireplace, big enough to walk into. On the other, 2 leather chairs and an antique table with a telephone. The floor was made up of flagstones, partly covered by a Persian rug. The stairs were also stone, with a wine-red carpet leading up the center. If Mary Blackiston had tripped and came tumbling down from the landing, her death would be easily explained. There was very little to cushion a fall. While Brent waited nervously by the door, she examined the body. She was not yet cold, but there was no pulse. Dr. Redwing brushed some of the dark hair away from the face to reveal brown eyes staring at the fireplace. Gently, she closed them. Mrs. Blackiston had always been in a hurry. It was impossible to escape the thought. She had quite literally flung herself down the stairs, hurrying into her own death. "Well, we have to call the police," she said. "What? Has someone done something to her?" "No. Of course not. It's an accident. But we still have to report it." It was an accident. You didn't have to be a detective to work it out. The housekeeper had been hoovering. The hoover was still there, a bright red thing, almost like a toy, at the top of the stairs, stuck in the banister. Somehow she had gotten tangled up in the wire. She had tripped and fallen down the stairs. There was nobody else in the house. The doors were locked. What other explanation could there be? Just over a week later, Emilia Redwing's thoughts were interrupted by the movement at the door. Her husband had come into the room. She'd lifted the eggs out of the pan and gently lowered them into 2 china egg cups. She was relieved to see that he had dressed for the funeral. She was quite sure that she would have forgotten. Or he would have forgotten. He had put on a dark Sunday suit, though no tie. He never wears ties. There were a few specks of paint on his shirt, but that was to be expected. Arthur and paint were inseparable. "You got up early," he said. "I'm sorry, dear. Did I wake you?" "No, not really. But I heard you go downstairs. Couldn't you sleep?" "Yes, I suppose I was thinking about the funeral." "Looks like a nice day for it. I hope that bloody vicar won't go on too long. It's always the same with Bible bashers. They're too fond of the sound of their own voice." He picked up a teaspoon and brought it crashing down onto his first egg. Crack. She remembered the conversation she had with Mary Blackiston just 2 days before Brent had called her to the house. Dr. Redwing had discovered something. It was quite serious. And she'd been about to go and find Arthur to ask his advice when the housekeeper had suddenly appeared as if summoned by a malignant spirit. And so she had told her instead. Somehow, during the course of the busy day, a bottle had gone missing from the surgery. The contents, in the wrong hands, could be highly dangerous if it was clear that somebody must have taken it. What was she to do? Should she report it to the police? She was reluctant because, inevitably, it would make her look foolish and irresponsible. Why had the dispensary been left unattended? Why hadn't the cupboard been locked? Why hadn't she noticed it before now? Don't you worry, Dr. Redwing, Mary had said. You live it with me for a day or two. As a matter of fact, I may have one or two ideas. That was what she said. At the same time, there had been a look on her face that wasn't exactly sly, but which was knowing, as if she'd seen something and had been waiting to be consulted on this very matter. And now she was dead. Of course, it had been an accident. Mary Blackiston hadn't had time to talk to anyone about the missing poison, and even if she had, there was no way that they could have done anything to her. She had tripped and fallen down the stairs. That was all. But as she watched her husband dipping a finger of toast into his egg, Emilia Redwing had to admit it to herself. She was really quite concerned. 4. Why are we going to the funeral? We hardly even know the woman. Johnny Whitehead was struggling with the top button of his shirt. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't slot it into the hole. The truth was that the collar simply wouldn't stretch all the way around his neck. It seemed to him that recently all his clothes had begun to shrink. Jackets he had worn for years were suddenly tight around the shoulders, and as for trousers, he gave up and plopped himself down at the breakfast table. His wife, Gemma, slid a plate in front of him. She had cooked a complete English breakfast with 2 eggs, bacon, sausage, tomato, and fried slice, just like tomato and fried. What the heck is a fried slice? Just how he liked it. Everyone will be there, Gemma said. That doesn't mean we have to be. People will talk if we aren't. And anyways, it's good for business. Her son, Robert, will probably clear out the house now that she's gone. And you never know what you might find. Probably just junk. Johnny picked up his knife and fork and began to eat. But you're right, love. I suppose it can't hurt to show our faces. Saxby-on-Avon had very few shops. Of course, there was a general store which sold just about everything anyone could possibly need, from mops to buckets to custard powder and 6 different sorts of jam. It was quite a miracle, really, how so many different products could fit in such a tiny space. Mr. Turnstone had ran the butcher shop round the back. It had a separate entrance and plastic strips hanging down to keep the flies. And the fish van came every Tuesday, but if you wanted anything exotic, olive oil or any of that Mediterranean ingredients that Elizabeth David put it in her books, you would have to go into Bath. The so-called General Electric store stood on the other end of the village square, but very few people went in there unless it was for spare light bulbs or fuses. Most of the products in the window looked dusty and out of date. There was a bookshop, a bakery, a tea room that only opened during the summer months. Just off the square end, before the fire station, stood a garage, which sold a range of motor accessories, but not anything that anyone would actually want. That was about it, and it had been that way for as long as anyone could remember. And then Johnny and Gemma Whitehead had arrived from London. They had bought the old post office, which had long been empty, and turned it into an antique shop with their names, written in old-fashioned lettering above the window. There were many in the village who remarked that a bric-a-brac rather than antiques might be more accurate description of the contents. But from the very start, the shop had proved popular with visitors, who seemed happy to browse amongst the old clocks, Toby jugs, canteens of cutlery, coins, medals, old paintings, dolls, fountain pens, and whatever else happened to be on display. Whether anyone had actually bought anything was another matter, but the shop had now been there for 6 years, and the Whiteheads lived in the flat above. Johnny was a short, broad-shouldered man, bald-headed, and, even if he hadn't noticed it, running to fat. He liked to dress loudly rather than shabby three-piece suits, usually with a He liked to dress loudly in rather shabby three-piece suits, usually with a brightly colored tie. For the funeral, he had reluctantly put on out a more somber jacket and trousers in gray worsted, although like the shirt, they fitted him badly. His wife, so thin and small that there had to be 3 of her to one of him, was wearing black. She was not eating a cooked breakfast. She had poured herself a cup of tea and was nibbling a triangle of toast. Sir Magnus and Lady Pye won't be there, Johnny muttered as an afterthought. Where? At the funeral. They won't be back until tonight. Who told you that? I don't know. They were talking about it in the pub. They've gone to the south of France or somewhere. All right for some, isn't it? Anyways, people have been trying to reach them, but so far no luck. Johnny paused, holding up a piece of sausage. To listen to him speaking now, it would have been obvious that he had lived most of his life in the East End of London. He had quite a different accent when he was dealing with customers. Sir Magnus isn't going to be happy about it, he went on. He was very fond of Mrs. Blackiston. They were as thick as thieves, them two. What do you mean? Are you saying that he had a thing with her? Gemma wrinkled her nose as she considered the thing. No, it's not like that. He wouldn't dare. Not with his missus on the scene. And anyways, Mary Blackiston was nothing to write home about. But she used to worship him. She thought the sun shone out of his you-know-where, and she'd been his housekeeper for years and years. Keeper of the keys. She cooked him, cleaned for him, gave half her life to him. I'm sure he'd have wanted to be there for the send-off. They could have waited for him to get back. Her son wanted to get it over with. Can't blame him, really. The whole thing's been a bit of a shock. The two of them sat in silence while Johnny finished his breakfast. Gemma watched him intently. She often did this. It was as if she were trying to look behind his general placid exterior, as if she might find something that he was trying to conceal. What was she doing there? She asked suddenly. Mary Blackiston. When? The Monday before she died. She was here. No, she wasn't. Johnny had laid down his knife and fork. He had eaten quickly and wiped the plate clean. Don't lie to me, Johnny. I saw her coming out of the shop. Oh, the shop. Johnny smiled uncomfortably. I thought you meant I'd had her up here in the flat. That would have been a right thing, wouldn't it? He paused, hoping his wife would change the subject. But as she'd shown no signs of doing so, he went on, choosing his words carefully. Yes, she did look in the shop, and I suppose that would have been the same week it happened. But I can't really remember what she wanted. If she wanted truth, love, I think she may have said something about a present for someone, but she didn't buy nothing. Anyways, she was only in for a minute or two. Gemma Whitehead always knew that when her husband was lying, she'd actually seen Mrs. Blackiston emerging from the shop, and she made note of it, somehow divining that something was wrong. But she hadn't mentioned it then and decided not to pursue the matter now. She didn't want to have an argument. Certainly not when the two of them were about to set off for a funeral. As for Johnny Whitehead, despite what he had said, he remembered very well his last encounter with Mrs. Blackiston. She had indeed come into the shop, making those accusations of hers. And the worst of it was that she had the evidence to back them up. How had she found it? What had put her on to him in the first place? Of course, she hadn't told him, but she had made herself very clear, the bitch. She would never have said as much to his wife, of course, but he couldn't be more pleased that Mary Blackiston was dead. think I can read the entire part? 52 pages. Clarissa Pye, dressed in black from head to toe, stood examining herself in the full-length mirror at the end of the hallway. Not for the first time. She wondered if the hat, with its 3 feathers and crumpled veil, wasn't a bit excessive. De trop, as they said in French. She had bought it on impulse from a second-hand shop in Bath, and had regretted it the moment later. She wanted to look her best for the funeral. The whole village would be there, and she had been invited to coffee and soft drinks afterwards at the Queen's Arms, with or without. She carefully removed it and laid it on the hall table. Her hair was too dark. She had it cut specially, and although Rene had done his usual excellent work, the new colorist of his had definitely let the place down. She looked ridiculous. Like something off the cover of Om Shah. Well, that decided it then. She would just have to wear the hat. She took out a tube of lipstick and carefully applied it to her lips. That looked better already. It was important to make an effort. The funeral wouldn't begin for another 40 minutes, and she didn't want to be the first to arrive. How was she going to fill the time? She went into the kitchen where the washing up from breakfast was waiting, but she didn't want to do it while she was wearing her best clothes. A book lay, face down on the table. She was reading Jane Austen, Dear Jane, for the umpteenth time, but she didn't feel like that was right either. She would catch up with Emma Woodhouse and her machinations in the afternoon. The radio, perhaps? Or another cup of tea and a quick slab on the Telegraph crossword. Yes, that was what she would do. Clarissa lived in a modern house. So many of the buildings on Saxbion Avenue were solid Georgian constructions, made of Bath stone with handsome porticos and gardens rising up in terraces. You didn't need to read Jane Austen. If you stepped outside, you would find yourself actually in her world. She would have much rather lived beside the main square or in Rectory Lane, which ran behind the church. There were some lovely cottages there, elegant and well-kept. 4 Winsley Terrace had been built in a hurry. It was a perfectly ordinary, 2 up, 2 down, with a pebble dash front, and a square garden that was hardly worth the trouble. It was identical to its neighbors, apart from a little pond which previous owners had added, and which was home to a pair of elderly goldfish. Upper Saxbion Avenue and Lower Saxbion Avenue. The difference could not have been more striking. She was in the wrong half. The house was all she had been able to afford. Briefly, she examined a small square kitchen with its net curtains and magenta walls, the apidistra on the windowsill, and the little wooden crucifix hanging from the Welsh dresser, where she could see it at the start of every day. She glanced at the breakfast things, still laid out on the table. A single plate, 1 knife, 1 spoon, 1 half-empty jar of golden shred marmalade. All at once, she felt the onrush of emotions that she had grown used to over the years, but which she still had to fight with all her strength. She was lonely. She should have never come here. Her whole life was a travesty. And all because of 12 minutes. 12 minutes! She picked up the kettle and slammed it down on the hob, turning on the gas with a savage twist of her hand. It really wasn't fair. How could a person's whole life be decided for them simply because of the timing of their birth? She had never really understood it when she was a child of Pye Hall. She and Magnus were twins. They were equals, happily protected by the wealth and privilege which surrounded them, and which the two of them would enjoy for the rest of their lives. That was what she had always thought. How could this have happened to her? She knew the answer now. Magnus himself had been the first to tell her. Something about an entail which was centuries old, which meant that the house, the entire estate, would go to him simply because he was the firstborn, and the title, of course, because he was male, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. She had thought he was making it up just to spite her, but she had found out soon enough it had been a process of attrition, starting with the death of her parents in a car accident when she was in her mid-20s. The house had passed formally to Magnus, and from that moment her status had changed. She had become a guest in her own home, and an unwanted one at that. She had been moved to a smaller room, and when Magnus had met and married Frances, this was 2 years after the war, she had been gently persuaded to move out altogether. She had spent a miserable year in London, renting a tiny flat on Bayswater, and watching her savings run out. In the end, she became a governess. What choice was there for a single woman who spoke passable French, who played the piano and who could recite the works of all the major poets but who had no other discernible skills? In a spirit of adventure, she had gone to America, first to Boston, then to Washington. Both the families she had worked for had been quite ghastly, and, of course, they had treated her like dirt, even though she was in every respect more experienced, and although she had never had said it to herself, more refined. And the children! It was clear that American children were the worst in the world, with no manners, no breeding, and very little intelligence. She had, however, been well paid, and had saved every penny, every cent, and she had earned, and when she could stand it no more, after 10 long years, she had returned home. Home was Saxby-on-Avon. In a way, it was the last place she wanted to be, but it was where she had been born and where she had been brought up. Where else should she go? Did she want to spend the rest of her life in the bedsit in Bayswater? Fortunately, a job had come at a local school, and with all the money she had saved, she had just about been able to afford a mortgage. Magnus hadn't helped her, of course, not that she would have dreamed of asking. At first it had galled her, seeing him driving in and out of a big house where the two of them had played. She still had a key, her own key, to the front door. She had never returned it and never would. The key was a symbol of everything she had lost, but at the same time it reminded her that she had every right to stay. Her presence here was almost certainly a source of embarrassment for her brother. There was some solace in that. Bitterness and anger swept through Clarissa Pye as she stood on her own in her kitchen, the kettle already hissing at her with a rising pitch. She had always been the clever one, her, not Magnus. He had come bottom of the class and received dreadful reports, while the teachers had been all over her. He had been lazy because he knew he could be. He had nothing to worry about. She was the one who had to go out and find work, any work, to support herself from day to day. He had everything, and worse, she was nothing to him. Why was she even going to this funeral? It suddenly struck her that her brother had been closer to Mary Blackiston than he had ever been to her. A common housekeeper, for heaven's sake. She turned and gazed at the cross, contemplating a little figure nailed into the wood. The Bible made it perfectly clear. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. She tried so hard to apply the words of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 17, into her life, and in so many ways she had almost succeeded. Of course, she would like to be richer. She would like to have had heating in the winter and not worry about the bills. That was only human. When she went to church, she often tried to remind herself that what had happened was not Magnus's fault. And even if he was not the kindest or gentlest of brothers, not actually by a long way, she must still try to forgive him. For if ye forgive men for their trespasses, Your heavenly Father will also forgive you." It wasn't working. He'd invited her up for dinner now and then, and the last time had just been a month ago, and sitting down to dinner in a grand hall with its family's portraits and minstrel gallery. One of the dozen guests being served food and wine on fine plates and in crystal glasses, that was when the thought had first wormed itself into her head. It had remained there ever since it was there now. She had tried to ignore it. She had prayed for it to go away, but in the end, she had accepted that she was seriously contemplating a sin much more terrible than covetousness, and worse, she had taken the first steps towards putting it into action. It was madness. Despite herself, she glanced upwards, thinking about what she had taken, what was hiding in her bathroom cabinet. "Thou shalt not kill." She whispered the words, but no sound came out. Behind her, the kettle began to scream. She snatched it up, forgetting that the handle would be hot, then slammed it down again with a little cry of pain. Tearfully, she washed her hand under the cold tap. It was nothing more than she deserved. A few minutes later, forgetting her tea, she swept the hat off the table and left for the funeral. Oh my goodness, there's going to be 8 characters for us to meet. I can't keep track of them all. The hearse had reached the outskirts of Saxby-on-Avon, and inevitably, its route took it past the entrance of Pye Hall, with stone griffins, and now silent lodge house. There was only one main road from Bath, and to have approached the village any other way would involve too much of a detour. Was there something unfortunate about carrying the dead woman past the very home where she had lived? Had anyone asked them, the undertakers, Geoffrey Lanner and Martin Crane, both descended from the original founders, would have said quite the opposite. On the contrary, they would have insisted. Was there not a certain symbolism in the coincidence? A sense of closure? It was as if Mary Blackiston had come full circle. Sitting in the back and feeling sick and empty, with the coffin lying behind him, Robert Blackiston glanced at his old house as if he had never seen it before. He did not turn his head to keep it in sight as they drove past. He did not even think about it. His mother had lived there. His mother was now dead, stretched out behind him. Robert was 28 years old, pale and slender, with a black haircut, short, in a straight line that tracked across his forehead, and continued in 2 perfect curves around each ear. He looked uncomfortable in the suit he was wearing, which was hardly surprising as it wasn't his. It had been lent to him for the funeral. Robert did have a suit, but his fiancée, Joy, had insisted it wasn't smart enough. She had managed to borrow a new suit from her father, which had been the cause of one argument, and had then persuaded him to wear it, which had been another. Joy was sitting next to him in the hearse. The two of them had barely spoken since they left Bath. Both of them were lost in their thoughts. Both of them were worried. It sometimes seemed to Robert that he had been trying to escape from his mother, almost from the day he had been born. He had actually grown up in Lodge House, just 2 of them, living on top of each other, each of them dependent on the other but in different ways. He had nothing with her. She was nothing without him. He had nothing without her. She was nothing without him. Robert had gone to the local school where he had been considered a bright child, one that would do well if he could only set his mind to his studies a little more. He had few friends. It often worried the teachers to see him standing on his own in the noisy playground, ignored by the other children. At the same time, it was completely understandable. There had been a tragedy when he was very young. His younger brother had died, a terrible accident, and his father had left the family soon afterwards, blaming himself. The sadness of it had clung to him, and the other children avoided it as if they were afraid of becoming contaminated. Robert never did very well in class. His teachers tried to make allowances for his poor behavior and lack of progress, taking account of his circumstances, but even so, they were secretly relieved when he reached 16 and left. This, incidentally, had been 1943, at the end of the war in which he had been too young to fight, but which had taken his father away for long stretches of time. There were many children whose education had suffered. In that sense, he was just another casualty. There was no question of his going to university. Even so, the year that followed was a disappointing one. He continued living with his mother, doing occasional odd jobs around the house, or around the village. Everyone knew him, agreed that he was underselling himself. Despite everything, he was much too intelligent for that sort of life. In the end, it was Sir Magnus Pye who employed Mary Blackiston, and who stood in local parentis for the last 7 years, who had persuaded Robert to go get a proper job. On his return from national service, Sir Magnus had helped him find an apprenticeship at a mechanic in a service department of the main Ford motorcar supplier in Bristol. Perhaps surprisingly, his mother had been far from grateful. It was the only time she had ever argued with Sir Magnus. She was worried about Robert. She didn't want him living alone in a distant city. She felt that Sir Magnus had acted without consulting her, even going behind her back. It didn't actually matter very much because the apprenticeship did not last long. Robert had been away for just 3 months when he went out drinking at a public house. The Blue Boar in Brislington. He became involved in a fight, which turned nasty, and the police were called in. Robert was arrested, and although he wasn't charged, his employers took a dim view and ended the apprenticeship. Reluctantly, Robert came home again. His mother behaved as if she had somehow been vindicated. She had never wanted him to leave, and if he had only listened to her, he would have saved them both a lot of trouble. It seemed to everyone who knew them that they never really got on well again from that day. At least, he had found his vocation. Robert liked cars, and he was good at fixing them. As it happened, there was a vacancy for a full-time mechanic at the local garage, and although Robert didn't have quite enough experience, the owner decided to give him a chance. The job didn't pay much, but it offered accommodation in a small flat above the workshop as part of the package. That suited Robert very well. He had made it quite clear that he no longer wanted to live with his mother, and he found the lodge house oppressive. He moved into the flat and had been there ever since. Robert Blackiston wasn't ambitious, nor was he particularly inquisitive. He might have continued with an existence that was adequate, nothing more, nothing less, but everything had changed when he had mangled his right hand in an accident that could have been taken off altogether. What had happened was quite commonplace and wholly avoidable. A car he'd been working on had come tumbling off the jack stand, missing him by inches. It was the falling jack that smashed him, and he had staggered into Dr. Redwing's surgery with his hand cradled and blood streaming down his overalls. That was when he'd met Joyce Sanderling, who was just starting as a new nurse and receptionist. Despite his pain, he had noticed her at once. Very pretty, with sand-colored hair framing her face and freckles. He thought about her in the ambulance, after Dr. Redwing had dressed his broken bones and sent him to the Royal United Hospital in Bath. His hand had long since healed, but he always remembered the accident, and he was glad it happened because it had introduced him to Joy. Joy lived with her parents at their home in Lower Westwood. Her father was a fireman who had once been on active service, based at the station in Saxby-on-Avon, but who now worked in administration. Her mother stayed at home looking after her older son, who was in need of a full-time care. Like Robert, Joy had left school at 16 and had seen very little of the world outside the country of Somerset. Unlike him, however, she had always had ambitions to travel. She had read books about France and Italy, and had even learned a few words of French from Clarissa Pye, who had given her private lessons. She had been working with Dr. Redwing for 18 months, coming into the village every morning on the bright pink motor scooter she had bought on the Never Never. Robert had proposed to Joy on the churchyard and she had accepted. The two of them were planning to get married in St. Botolph's the following spring. They would use the time until then to save up money for the honeymoon in Venice. Robert had promised that. On the first day they were there, he had taken her for a ride on a gondola. They would drink champagne as they floated beneath the Bridge of Sighs. They had it all planned. It was so strange to be sitting next to her now, with his mother in the back, still coming between them, but in a very different way. He remembered the first time he had taken Joy to the lodge house for tea. His mother had been utterly unwelcoming in the way that he knew so well, putting a steel lid on all her emotions, so that the only cold veneer of politeness showed through. "How very nice to meet you. Lower Westwood? Yes, I know it well. And your father a fireman? How interesting." She had behaved like a robot, or perhaps an actor in a very bad play. And although Joy hadn't complained, hadn't been anything but her sweet self, Robert had sworn he would never put her through that again. That evening, he had argued with his mother, and in truth, the two of them never really been civil with each other from that time. But the worst argument had happened just a few days ago, when the vicar and his wife were away on holiday, and Mary Blackiston was looking after the church. They had met outside the village pub. The Queen's Arms was right next to St. Botolph's, and Robert had been sitting in the sunshine enjoying a pint after work. He had seen his mother walking through the cemetery. She'd probably been arranging flowers ready for the weekend services, which were being conducted by a vicar from a neighboring parish. She had seen him and come straight over. "You'd said you'd mend the kitchen light." Yes. The light above the cooker. It was just the bulb, but it was difficult to reach, and he'd said he'd do it a week ago. He'd often look into the lodge house when there was a problem, but how could something so trivial have developed into such a stupid row? The two of them not exactly shouting at each other, but talking loudly enough for everyone sitting outside the pub to hear. "Why don't you leave me alone? I wish you'd drop dead and give me a bit of peace." "Oh yes, you'd like that, wouldn't you?" "You're right, I would." He had really spoken those words to her, and in the public. Robert twisted round and stared at the blank surface of wood, the coffin lid with its wreath of white lilies, and just a few days, not even a week later, his mother had been found at the bottom of the stairs of Pye Hall. It was the groundsman, Brent, who had come to the garage and told him the news, and even as he'd spoken there had been a strange look in his eyes. Had he been at the pub that evening? Had he heard? "We're here," Joy said. Robert turned back. Sure enough, the church was in front of them. The cemetery already full of mourners. There must have been at least 50 of them. Robert was surprised. He never thought his mother had so many friends. The car slowed down and stopped. Somebody opened the door for him. "I don't want to do this," Robert said. He reached out and took hold of her, almost like a child. "It's all right, Bob. Or Rob. I'll be with you. It'll be over soon." She smiled at him, and at once he felt better. What would he do without Joy? She had changed his life. She was everything to him. The two of them got out and began to walk towards the church. Alright. Looking at the other chapters, it looks like we have 2 other people to meet in this story. But I'm going to end it for now. There's 2 other people to meet in the story, and then it'll be part 2 of the story. It's so long indeed. It is bedtime for Yin. It is 3 o'clock, almost 3:30. 2 more people to meet, and then we'll be like a fifth of the way through the story. Wait, is it? No, less than a fifth. Oh, the end game? Is that the epilogue? Oh god, okay. So this story is like 300 and something pages. What? What is this? Endgame 3? Shakespeare and Evan? What is Nicholas Crete? Why? There's something at the end of this book that's like a couple of pages of a different story. Anyways, doesn't matter. Bedtime for Yin means no thinky time for whatever the heck is happening at the end of the story. But it is an interesting start. It seems we're being introduced to a couple of people who may have been involved in the death of one Miss Mary Blackiston. Mary Elizabeth Blackiston. And it's interesting, you know? This is the cast of characters I'm used to, where everybody in the cast is unlikable. We've got a vicar that's hiding a secret, a doctor who's also hiding a secret of somebody taking poison, and then she's not talking about it. An owner of a knick-knack store who more secrets. The son who doesn't like the mother. A twin sister who doesn't like the brother who was the employer of Miss Mary Blackiston. Interesting cast so far. We shall meet them next time that I have to read a bedtime story. Okay? For now, have a very lovely night. Good night, Sishui. I hope people dream. Oh, we haven't figured out why it has to do with magpies yet. Why are these the magpie murders? And where is the detective? I suppose that'll be way further into the book. Alright, have a very lovely night. Next time, we'll be making a book. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow. Weekends are kind of my chore days though, so I don't know. maybe tomorrow I'll set things up. I have the book printed. I just need to cut out the pages and start stitching. Stitching and gluing. We'll see how many hours it takes for me to make one book. It'll be great. I'll be paying myself less than minimum wage to be making this book and selling it. Handstitch cam, yeah. All right, have a very lovely night, full of murder. Good night. Good night.